Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Gabrielle D. Phillips with Woodward Sports Network, down at another day of Lions training camp here at Allen Park, but things are looking a little bit different today as the Lions are hosting the New York Giants for their first joint practice of the 2023 preseason. Jama will be back on the field today, but potentially no Mims or Jonah, but there is nothing serious to worry about. But now we have to get into the Teddy Bridgewater of it all. The Detroit Lions are bringing him into the quarterback room. Let's check out what Dan Campbell had to say.
I've seen him run the offense. I've seen him in critical moments. I've seen him develop young talent, young receivers. We lost Breeze. He goes 5-0. He just, he went in there and he kept the ship afloat.
The biggest takeaway is that he is a complete professional. Campbell has no worries that he's going to come into the system just like the others that he's worked in, learn their playbook, learn their language, and get to work. We hope to see him out on the field next Monday. Dan Campbell said that this is the most game-ready team that he has seen in his time with the Lions. These joint practices are the times to see how these depth players will react. Will they focus on those details that they've been working on in all these practices leading up to this first meeting with the Giants, or will this turn into a rat game? During these practices, you're going to see the starters out on the field more, and then in the games, you will see those depth pieces getting their reps in.
You want to see some of these guys that potentially depth players, right? Yeah, you could call them fringe, but I think the other is, man, can they be spot starters for you, and where can they go with that? But, yeah, those are the guys you're really wanting to try to find out about.
This is the first joint practice of the 2023 season, all leading up to that first preseason game against the Giants this Friday. Gabrielle D. Phillips with Woodward Sports Network.
Yo, yo, yo! Good morning, everybody. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. There you have it. Training camp, joint practices. Whew, this is the time. I love this. I love this. Especially when you get to see all the media yesterday was being reported, all the news. That the Lions are doing pretty good yesterday, Sam Flannel.
Yes.
Joining me, my guy Sam Flannel, my co-host, my partner in crime, my guy.
Oh, yes.
We got JB in the booth.
Finally got his cam back, too.
Got his cam. Oh!
Look at that handsome
go.
right there.
The GOAT. And we got in the chair, as always, Gabrielle D. Phillips joining us as well. Coming off joint practice yesterday. We'll get into it with her in a little bit. Discuss that. Lucas Klotz in the TD booth. The legend.
It's a good day, baby.
We got a lot to get to.
Sun shining.
Yes.
Lions training camp day 2. Gonna throw Daniel Jones around again. Panay Sewell's gonna put Kayvon Thibodeau in a phone booth again. It's going to be a good day.
Yeah, it is going to be a great day. We got a packed show planned for you guys today. A lot of Lions to get to, obviously, with the joint practices, along with a little bit of Michigan later in the show.
Yes.
Which I can't wait to get into with my guy Sam Flannel.
If you can't wait to get into it, I can't imagine how Sam is feeling.
Sam's giddy.
Oh, I'm giddy.
Those coaches, they love Michigan, don't they? Number 2 in the preseason poll, Sam Flannel. We got to discuss that later.
I am so giddy, you might as well change my first name to Josh.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
You know what? You know what that's from? That's hanging around Broder too much. Dude, Broder has those dad jokes.
The subtle dad jokes.
That's what he does, man. Speaking of Broder, he'll be joining us at 8:30. He's down at training camp. He'll be V-mixing in, giving us the live updates as well. But I can't wait, man. We have a packed show planned for today. And I want to start off and kind of go through some of the things that happened yesterday. Lions, Giants, joint practice. And we know the relationship with Brian Dable and Dan Campbell, of course. But and we talked about this yesterday, matchups we were excited to see. The Lions held their own yesterday, boys.
Oh, yeah.
They did. I mean, and Gabby was down there that she got to see as well. But, again, you talk about a defense that we were excited to see. Defense looked good.
Yeah.
We talk about the offensive line as well. And again, do you have some of the clips?
Oh, you want to see that Jameer one right off the bat?
This one took me.
We all know Jahmyr Gibbs is fast, and we all have known that. But I think this video right here, and just seeing the actual speed – and just,
Jesus!
He runs the man off the screen.
Yeah,
damn.
And that's just any linebacker ever. Like, that's not some fat linebacker that's just getting in the league. Like, if that's a fast, athletic linebacker. I mean, it's probably not Bobby Wagner in his prime or anything like that, but he runs him off the screen.
No, you can't put a linebacker on that man. Like,
There's no way.
And the thing is, and Dan kind of mentioned this too, like what he's looking to see and what you look for is what translates. Like, guys can do certain things in training camp, but when you get to joint practices and a guy like Jameer, that speed translates. Now you're sitting there going, oh yeah, this guy's going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
It's good to kind of compare him with other defenses, and as you could see, he was like a ghost out there, Sam Flannel.
I mean,
what the hell is this,
He
dude?
got himself so wide open that
He just dead legs the hell out of him. And then basically, it looks very Tyreek Hill-ish. It does.
I mean,
Jalen Waddle-ish.
Yeah, that is true.
And I want to say a big shout out to the Lions social media team for grabbing that. I mean, right place at the right time getting that yesterday.
They also, speaking of the rookies, you have the Brian Branch clip?
I can get that one for
Dude
sure,
was
too.
going stride for stride with whoever. I can't remember what number it was who he was guarding, but Brian Branch looked good out
He
there.
had a good dash.
Like, and for a safety, covered that man at the line of scrimmage, ran with him stride for stride, and got the pass deflection.
Yep.
Like, there's, and I get, again, you guys are overreacting to joint practice, but this is real reps, Sam. Reps that they really do need before the season.
I mean,
No doubt.
I would say joint practices hold a little bit more weight for me in terms of stuff you can overreact to than just practicing against your own team, because it is the New York Giants, as I said yesterday, a team that accomplished everything the Lions did, but just a little bit more. But we also think the Lions are clearly going to be better this year, so they had to show out. And seeing that clip of Jameer Gibbs basically put that linebacker out of the screen at some point, that was absolutely incredible. And the good news is, Lucas, that most linebackers that you're going to see aren't prime Bobby Wagner, so Jameer Gibbs should be able to win those matchups almost every single time. And Brian Branch, as we've talked about, one of the things that was a concern was his speed, even though I think it was a little bit overblown. That's why he fell to the Lions at pick 45. But
Yeah, because a 4.5 slow nowadays, remember?
I mean,
apparently.
It was closer to 4.6, but anywho, that is just splitting hairs. But the point is that the Lions were able to get him, to the chagrin of a lot of different teams, and the fact that he was able to run stride for stride with a wide receiver and get that pass breakup, that is unbelievable. I don't think it's more it is the fact that we are still finding ways to get even more excited as time goes on. We were already pretty crazy before, and now it's just every single day we're seeing more and more to get excited about. I can only imagine what it'll be like on Friday, especially if the Lions take the opening drive down and score.
Stop not scared. Stop not scared.
Hey,
Stop scared.
I can't lie to you guys. Like, as the days kind of go on here, I think my stoked meter's kind of going up a little bit.
Hey,
like,
here's Brian Branch.
Like,
the
look
Brian
at
Branch
this.
clip.
Dude, like, that's what I can't see. That is, who is that receiver? That's who I want to know.
I can't tell.
I can't. I wish I could know, because it would determine how I feel about this. But regardless, he's stride for stride with whoever that is.
They're in the slot. It's not like that's an X wide receiver. Like, they're in the slot, and usually that's where your quicker guys are. So I mean, that's exactly what you want to see him doing.
I was told he was slow. That's what I was told with Brian Branch.
Yeah, apparently. But when you watch tape, it shows you a lot differently. If you watch tape instead of looking at combine scores and what all these draft gurus think, just watch tape and let your eyes make the decision for yourself instead of these numbers that everybody's constantly throwing out, telling you why this guy, he's going to be really good, but you need to wait in the second, third round to get him. It's like, no, if the guy's really good, I'm just going to draft him where I think he should be drafted. And that's what Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, the Lions have done so far.
Oh, yeah.
And look at these comments. People are already chiming in. Again, appreciate all you guys for joining the show, showing some love here. Corey Berry says, some things to clean up. Heard Saquon had a big run. Darren Waller reportedly had a good day as well. Lucian chiming in. He says, the training camp vids this year got me bricked. Hoop Harded says, you can't really put the nickel on Gibbs either if he goes into motion. No, you can't. Jeff Olson says, Brian Branch is that dude, best player the Lions drafted.
Also, where'd it go? John effing Lord, Dylan Drummond is making moves, and I could not agree more.
I heard he was catching everything yesterday.
He looked like so consistent and so confident yesterday. Him and, again, Khalif Raymond also looked great yesterday. Amon-Ra St. Brown, but those are ones that you expect a little bit more, but Drummond is really showing up.
And I love this too, Funky. Jeff Branch is slow on the track, but unlike most people, he actually plays at his 4.5 speed. I think that's a great way to say it. Right, there's guys that are 4.3, 4.4, guys that are insanely quick, but Brian Branch, what he does off the field, he also can do in pads, fully padded up. So again, Brian Branch was impressive yesterday. We'll get into all the training camp notes. Jeff Risden came out with an article and really had a detailed like play-by-play, who showed up, who didn't, things to look for, and all that and much more. So that was nice to see as well. Dylan Drummond, And I know we kind of talked about him yesterday a little bit. And I know people were like, why are we talking about a guy that probably won't even make the team?
I don't know.
He went against the Giants, man, and still showed up. So that's worth mentioning. So
And what you have to remember is that Dan Campbell yesterday said that during these practices, he's going to be starting the people that he is more confident in that are probably not going to get as many reps during the actual games, the preseason games. He did mention that yesterday. So I'm looking at those pieces that he's putting in, like Laporta and Drummond, and I'm like, is this saying something? Is he giving them those reps before the game, or is he just this confident in these pieces that he's not going to put them in this game for majority of the time, and he's going to see how they're reacting in these situations now during practices?
Yeah, and it turns out, I mean, obviously we weren't down there in person. We'll rely on Gabby and Matt Broder and those people to fill us in. But just from what we've seen, Sam Flannel, the rookies, it's going to be hard for them not to play. Like Brian Branch will be playing.
Brian Branch will be playing.
He will be.
Yes.
They will find a way to put that man on the field.
We are going to look back in a couple of years and say that Brian Branch should have been a top 10 pick in this draft. I believe that with every fiber of my being because he had the talent to warrant that. Maybe not top 10, but definitely top 20. But
I get what you're saying.
Yes, but when he becomes a multiple-time Pro Bowler and a multiple-time All-Pro and has a career similar to Tyrann Mathieu, we're going to be looking back and saying, you know what? We got one of the greatest steals in Lions history. It might be right up there with the steals of Amon-Ra St. Brown and James Houston, although their draft positions were less than Brian Branch. Still, what Brian Branch was projected versus where the Lions got him. I mean, he was at one point projected maybe the Lions could get him at 18. They got him at 45, and he's shown out in practice.
And they stole him from the Packers, too. That's
which is
the thing.
even
They
better.
traded up with the Packers. And what did they do the year before? They traded up with the Vikings to get Jameson Williams. So Brad Holmes constantly I mean, you can say what you want about Jameson Williams. I think he's going to work out. He's going to make the Packers and the Vikings pay for trading with him in the draft.
Do you have the Jared Goff speak into the media?
No, but I can get that in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it was on Woodward Sports on our Twitter and on just social media. You can go check that out. But Jared Goff kind of reflected on the first joint practice against the Giants and kind of explained what he is looking for the Lions to improve on. We'll get that in a little bit for you. But honestly, and I saw this comment too, and I get it. Trust me, I understand
Good to go
this.
if you want it.
Okay. Steve-O says, all they're doing is practicing like a scrimmage game, Jeff. Will there be a scrimmage trophy? Love the show, guys. I know you're messing around, Steve-O, but it's not even about crowning this team off after a scrimmage. But, dude, like when you get to see this team at least get competition other than themselves and still hold up and still look good, it's worth talking about, no doubt about it. But here's Jared Goff talking about the joint practice.
You know, we had the little procedure thing. We might have 2 procedures, pre-snap penalties we'd like to eliminate, and then potentially getting some stuff down the field a little bit. I think they do a good job on defense of keeping it tough. Diagnose-wise, but being able to push it a little bit down the field and make some plays further down the field.
There it is, Jared Goff talking about it. And honestly, I mean, Jared Goff, he looked pretty good too. And again, I know
better
quarterbacks
than Daniel
don't
Jones.
Better than Daniel Jones, which again was being reported. If you don't follow this guy already on social media, not that you have to, but during this time I follow this man, Connor Hughes, on Twitter. He's an NFL reporter and works over in New York, covers the Giants, and he was tweeting out yesterday, and he has a whole thread of just like...
Dude, that thing was outrageously long.
But he kept tweeting, like, Giants are still struggling against the... Like, what he said something about the Giants' first-team offense through 2 drills are against the Lions' defense. The Lions are outplaying the Giants pretty significantly. Barkley has 3 runs for very little. Daniel Jones has 1 for 4 with a sack. Like, you can tell this guy's just not having fun.
He's just keeping it real, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I'll tell you what, we'll go to break. When we get back, we'll get into some more training camp, just the joint practice notes. We'll get some reactions to that. But before we do that, Sam Flannel, where can we get touched up if we need a haircut?
Oh, absolutely. You go to Lady Jane's, and of course, they always have me looking this good, but I think I need a haircut soon. And today, for the first time in about a week, I could walk right over across, not even the street, across the hall to Lady Jane's, and you can walk into any Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not 1, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, 1 for you and 1 for your wife, girlfriend, or best bud. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
We're back. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. I appreciate you guys for tuning in live on YouTube. Don't forget, hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 7,000 or so?
Oh, yeah, we're creeping up.
Man, we're doing good. Thanks to all of you. And don't forget, wherever you get your podcast, Morning Woodward Show, leave a 5-star review as well. It's time to get into some of these training camp notes. And this is per Jeff Risden. You can go to woodwardsports.com, check out more articles as well. Broder and Gabby are doing well reporting on everything Lions related. But Jeff Risden, man, he's a menace. Like, this guy does deep dives. And he listed out pretty much every detail that needs to be talked about. And one of them is, and he writes, Lions pass D, and this is lionswire.com, by the way. He said Lions pass D struggled short but dominated deep. And they talked about it a little bit too. And if you follow that Connor Hughes guy, he was tweeting about it like C.J. Gardner-Johnson dropped an interception again. Like these guys, man, are all over the field. And do you have that? Do you have Broder? What Broder was talking about with Ermanni Awarrior?
They had to take it down, but we got something similar to it. I can pop it up there.
Okay, because I need that. Before we get into anything, we need to talk about this. C.J. Gardner-Johnson wants all the smoke with Ermanni Awarrior. Here we go. CJ had the non-football moment of the day for me, chirping at former Lions cornerback Ermanni Awarrior, smacked his helmet and told him the reason you're no longer in Detroit is because you're soft and lack grit.
Him and Kirby were really pumping up the energy. Like, towards the end, when they were really going after it, all the fans were in it. All the Lions walked over to the side that the fans were on where those big bleachers are, and they were just pumping everyone up. And I think from there, the energy just took off, and they were going after it on the sidelines. That's
real, though. Like, everybody, and you know this, Luke. It's like you played football your entire life. Like, and you know specifically, like, when you're facing, and for you who played wide receiver, when you have a secondary who's talking and they want you, like, not that it depends how mentally tough you are as well, but there's no way these guys don't think about it every time they line up. Like, dude, I have to beat these guys, and if I don't, I'm gonna hear about it.
And the thing is like, they're talking, and as like a receiver or any offensive position in general, you just need to shut your mouth, because you have to concentrate on what your job is on that. Because if you start talking back, then they're winning. That's the whole thing. That's why I love Kirby and CJ in this backfield, because they are going to play head games. Not only are they great players on the field with their physical skills, but these guys are going to get in the receivers, the running backs' heads when they're trying to when it comes down to crucial situations. It's going to wear and tear them all game. Like, you guys remember when CJ was in New Orleans and he walks up to Tom Brady and he just gets in Tom Brady's face after he throws an interception, and he's just staring down Tom Brady's face past the face mask. Like, that takes some nuts, man. And that's exactly what this Lions team need. And it's going to just transition into over everybody. I don't think everybody's going to be running their mouth, but when you do that, it builds confidence. It builds that ego. And then when you're playing defense in the NFL, if you're playing defense at any level, you need to have confidence, and that's exactly what he's going to be pumping through this whole team.
Yeah, it's like you said, It's one thing to talk trash, but it's another thing to talk trash and back it up and be elite. Like, that's another thing. And here, Jeff Risden wrote about it. I'm going to read this because it was interesting. You kind of nailed it. He says, it was a different story when New York tried to attack down the field. The Lions' first team secondary handily snuffed out just every deep throw against the Giants starters. The presence of C.J. Gardner-Johnson was easy to spot. His blanket coverage in the slot and disruption at the line of scrimmage threw off the timing of the coordinated routes, allowing fellow safety Kirby Joseph to get an easier read on the action. Now, he writes here as well, because we talked a little bit about Cam Sutton and kind of seeing these clips, we were poking fun at it. And he says new Lions cornerback Cam Sutton was consistently winning reps in downfield coverage. On the second team, undrafted rookie Starling Thomas had an interception and a nice pass deflection too.
Gabby, kind of jumping in here, but did you notice anything from Starling yesterday?
I mean, obviously those points, but he just seemed like he was started. I don't remember seeing too much of him early on during these practices where you were like, oh, dang. But maybe he's just somebody that under the pressure, and now that he's going up against a different opponent, that things are just clicking a little bit more, because those 2 opportunities that he had, he stepped up.
Mm-hmm. And on top of it, too, not just the corners, but Jeff writes here, without Frank Ragnow, they didn't have Jonah Jackson, and they moved Graham Glasgow to center there, and they put Vaitai back at right guard. And then you had Darren Paulo, who's getting first-team reps at left guard. They still held up pretty well in pass protection. So not saying, again, you want Frank Ragnow there, but the fact that this old line was still stout, still what we think they are, was still impressive, to say the least. So that was nice to see, because we talked about that yesterday, Sam Flannel. Offensive line versus that defensive line. That's the matchup you want to see.
Yeah, it's the strength of the Lions and one of the strengths of the Giants. And last year, even, you saw when Vaitai went down, you had to have guys like Evan Brown and John Skipper step up. So you never know when an injury is going to hit, so you need some depth on the offensive line. I thought the notes about the secondary and when it comes to Giants being able to hit a few short passes versus not being able to get anything deep was actually very, very telling, because Brian Daboll, he's a very, very smart offensive mind. He was the offensive coordinator for Buffalo when Josh Allen had his greatest success. He was the coach of the year last year. He seemed to unlock something in Daniel Jones, even though he was still very, very mid. He didn't turn the football over. He ran the ball more effectively, and Saquon had the best year since his rookie season. So the fact that they were able to hit some short stuff to presumably Saquon Barkley and Darren Waller, their 2 greatest passing threats, maybe exploiting some one-on-one matchups with Jack Campbell or Alex Anzalone or Malcolm Rodriguez, that is to be understandable. But the fact that it seems like from these notes and from what I've been hearing from Jeff Risdon and from people at our network down at training camp, they couldn't get anything deep, the New York Giants. And that's because the New York Giants still have one of the weakest wide receiver cores I've ever seen at this point. It is just terrible. So I guess the number one point is that C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Cam Sutton, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Tracy Walker, Jerry Jacobs, a little bit better than Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, and Paris Campbell. We're not talking about Paris Campbell in 2018 against the Don Brown defense for Ohio State. We're talking about Paris Campbell, who has done absolutely nothing in the NFL. So it's good to see the Lions winning the matchups that they should be winning, because this Giants wide receiver core is terrible, and the Lions have a damn good secondary, at least when it comes to depth. Maybe not high-end talent yet, but when it comes to depth, and even guys like C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Cam Sutton, I think they're pretty high-end talent, and Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch could get there too.
Sebastian says Aiden looking like J.J. Watt, while Kayvon looking like a bum at practice.
Oh, good.
That's okay.
I'm so happy we did not draft Kayvon Thibodeau. And
absolutely.
I think the guy's talented. He's going to be all right through his career, but I just did not want to root for him. Like, dude has such an ego on him. He's just a douche. And it's just like, you do all that talking, and then you go out and say, yeah, like, football's not really my passion, stuff like that. And then he just goes out there. He's getting thrown on his ass by Andrew Thomas in practice. I don't know if you guys seen that clip, but that came out right before they went to Detroit, and he got embarrassed by Andrew Thomas. Then you're going out there, you're just not doing much. Yes. I'm so happy he's not a Detroit Lion.
I love it when you think you know a prospect, and then they turn out to be exactly what you thought they were at Aiden Hutchinson. Like, you knew what he is now. You knew that's what he was coming out. So it's great to hear about that. Some of these quick little notes that Jeff Risdon wrote, I want to get through some of them. He writes, Kirby Joseph continues to make more plays. He's stepping up better against the run than in his rookie campaign. That's good. He's playing at a very high level of confidence and swagger, probably attributed to now C.J. Gardner-Johnson helping him out.
And it's not saying that CJ's not going to help him, but Kirby already kind of had that too, so that's why we're going to see.
But it's almost different.
Like, I agree with you. Like, you have that little like cushion that you can be like, oh, he can grow here. CJ's going to elevate that even more now. So I think Kirby, the game's going to slow down for him even more this year, and CJ's going to be helping him. Brian Branch, Tracy's in there to help him too, because Kirby's going to play more than any of the safeties on this team. It's going to be his 3rd year playing safety ever.
And that's what's crazy, wide receiver who changed the safety. So you think about it, and I think that's the part of it that I was going to mention too, because to your point, it's Kirby, he's a guy who will talk trash, but now you got a guy alongside in that secondary who talks trash, and now Kirby's like, okay, this is what we're doing. All right. He also writes here about Derek Barnes, which, you haven't really heard too much about him, and I know Gabby was down there to watch, but he writes, had 2 different members of the Giants media ask about Derek Barnes after practice. He made quite a positive impression on him. Barnes continues to have a breakout summer in his 3rd season. His pre-snap diagnostic skills have grown tremendously, and the visitors from New York took note. So I'm not saying Derek Barnes is like the next Chris Spielman. What I am saying is, for a guy who was, what, a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick? I can't remember off the top of my head. Regardless, for a guy who was taken out of Purdue, that was the first real linebacker you took, Brad Holmes took, and we're all like, okay, who's Derek Barnes? And he hasn't really panned out to what we thought he was going to be. But now, Sam Flannel, 3rd season, Derek Barnes, he's looking good, according to Jeff Rizzo.
I remember when Derek Barnes had that interview where he was basically talking about Jack Campbell and how he might lose his job on the Lions at this point. I think a lot of people were kind of writing off Derek Barnes as he might be the casualty. He might be the one that doesn't get a lot of playing time or even ultimately gets cut. But Derek Barnes, I think he showed some flashes in his first couple of seasons. He had a couple of really good games last year, especially the game at home against Green Bay. He was very, very good in that game. He has a skill set which I think is even greater than Alex Anzalone and 100%. Malcolm Rodriguez. And that's the thing. Derek Barnes, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he sees a lot of playing time. If he sees some playing time even at the same time as Jack Campbell. I don't know if that's necessarily advantageous, but I think they might both create a situation where they both can't be off the field. It wouldn't shock me at all, actually, if the one linebacker who does kind of regress and take a step back isn't Derek Barnes, isn't Malcolm Rodriguez, it's none other than Alex Anzalone. Yeah. I think he's a candidate for last year being a mirage, and it's not any disrespect, but nothing in his past history indicated that he was ever going to be what he was last year, which was, I would say, mid-plus.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He was like a C+, B-.
Sure.
It's just he had so much opportunity being on the field because the Lions' defense was constantly getting 12, 13-play drives shoved down their throat that he was just getting so many reps. And I agree with you. Derek Barnes, he's more talented than Alex Anzalone and Malcolm Rodriguez. I don't think Jack Campbell. He's in a contract year, and you know how guys play on contract years. He's going to be playing above his ceiling. Kelvin Shepard's a great linebackers coach, and I think he's definitely going to give Derek Barnes a chance because I don't think they've really given him that yet. So I think the opportunity is going to be in front of him with the camp that he's having. I think when it comes week 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, Derek Barnes is going to be out there with Jack Campbell most of the time.
So the one thing, though, that I think that I'm a little bit concerned about with Derek Barnes, should we be concerned at all that he was basically jumped on the depth chart last season by Malcolm Rodriguez and got a ton less playing time? I mean, I get that Malcolm Rodriguez was a damn talented 6th-round rookie, but he was still an undersized 6th-round rookie who definitely played above what you thought he would. But the fact that Derek Barnes couldn't beat him out, that's a little bit concerning, at least for me.
I think, and you saw this kind of highlighted in Hard Knocks as well, it felt like, at least for Rodrigo, he just has a better feel. He had a better feel initially for the game. Like, that's what, Shepard loved about him, Dan loved about him. The guy just, where the football was, Malcolm was. And I think that's why they loved him. Doesn't mean Derek Barnes, that can't click for him later, but Rodrigo kind of came into the league pretty much like, he could play right away.
Yeah, and I think Anzalone and Barnes kind of have a similar skill set, and Malcolm was bringing something different, and you're going to take, when you're comparing guys with similar skill sets, you're going to take the veteran, and then if you want to play Rodrigo because he brings something different, which is what they did, that's what they did. Because Derek Barnes obviously didn't prove anything yet. He still hasn't, but the potential is 100% there, especially when you see it in the goal line against the Packers. He showed out week 17 or 18, my fault. But he showed out in that week.
Sorry, Lucas. There's one more that I want to touch on before we go to break that I think everyone needs to keep their eyes out for, and he's newer.
You know what? Actually, we'll do that coming out of break because Matt Broder, unfortunately, will not be joining us because, some complications. He's got Dan Campbell in 30 minutes. So we'll talk about what Gabby just teased right there when we come back from break. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at SMA because the sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com for more information.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. of the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Play, practice, and party at 5 Iron Golf, located inside of the Cambria Hotel. Downtown's newest sports bar has 13 TrackMan simulators, certified instructors, and a full bar and restaurant. Mention promo code Woodward at checkout for 50% off your first visit, and visit 5irongolf.com to tee up good times. Join the Woodward sports team to watch us play against 16 lucky fans this Thursday, August 10th, for opening night of the Woodward Sports Network Golf League. Hosted by 5 Iron Golf and co-presented by Mark White and Associates and Long Drink Hard Seltzer. That is 5irongolf.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. We'll try to get to 100 likes by the end of this segment. We're going to be breaking down more of yesterday's joint practice and what we, or not we, but others saw, including Gabby, who's here with us. We'll be getting into more of those details. But don't forget as well, if you're watching on the website, don't forget we got articles coming out about joint practices and about training camp as well. But we got updates, show clips, merchandise, like I got the Tigers on today. R.I.P. Jim Price, by the way. But
we added some more merchandise yesterday,
we did.
too.
Okay, they just keep adding more. So again,
keeps coming. Football season's coming. We have to have all of our people stacked up.
And it's creative. It really is. It really is creative. The more merchandise we add. But Gabby, you kind of teased something before last break. What'd you want to discuss?
Yeah, Tay Hayes.
Tay Hayes?
He started showing some sparks yesterday. He joined the Lions on August 4th. He played in the USFL and for several teams in the NFL. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's actually played in his career for 2 NFL teams every single season of his career so far. If you want to learn more on him, I actually did a player spotlight on him yesterday on all of our social media. But he looked pretty good in practice yesterday and just had a couple of glimpses that I was like, okay, this makes sense. Okay, I see what he's doing here. I see how they're using him. I see that he's having those moments of clicking so early because he just joined them on the 4th.
Tay Hayes. And it's crazy, I mean, for Brad to find, I feel like every year there's just these corners that just come out of nowhere. Like Jerry Jacobs, A.J. Parker. Now you got Starling Thomas, Stephen Gilmore, and Tay Hayes. And they all end up just, I don't know if that's a credit to AG, though. Like, AG.
That's what I was about to say. It's probably some good coaching in the water.
Yeah,
then.
I was going to say, a man with over 40 career interceptions. Like, yeah. But Tay Hayes was making noise. I want to I guess we'll speak to more of these notes, and then you can I'll go to Gabby on this just to get the confirmation here. Jamison Williams, I saw, and I want to bring this up because he deserves to be talked about. And I tweeted this out yesterday about how, people taking photos of Jamison Williams showing up to practice early. And I know you were there. He was like the first Lion out there working with Antoine Randall L. That deserves more coverage. And I'm glad people are all over it in Detroit because, of course, Detroit media has it, but national media is like, oh, this guy gets into fights, he drops passes, he stinks. And then when people are there, they're like, no, he's the first one in the door. So the whole immaturity thing, I just kind of laugh at it. But again, he was in there early. He was working. And here Jeff Risdon writes about him. Wide receiver Jamison Williams returned after missing Saturday for an undisclosed personal reason. He made a couple of nice catches in the 7-on-7 session, and one of them featured him quickly hitting the afterburner to run away from the trailing coverage on a crossing route. He's going to be deadly on crossing routes for sure. And he also writes, in the one-on-ones, Williams had some issues getting open. He got cute with one route, making too many moves to try and get free, something we've occasionally seen in camp before. It's notable that he was the first Lions player on the field for practice, and that's why it's good he's working with Antoine Randall L.
No, and with Jamison Williams, it's all just going to come down to time and just come down to week. When he returns, all this noise will dissipate. He's going to do what he has to do because the coaching staff is going to make him do it. I know when we were on the show the one day, I believe it was Friday, people were like, did you hear the rumors about J-Mo getting sent home early because he was sleeping in meetings? Like, that stuff is not happening. And people are just putting false publicity out there about J-Mo for no reason. The man is going to be fine. It's just a matter of time because with Ben Johnson scheming with this guy, I think success is almost just destined. If we were in some shaky offensive situation, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be a little bit worried. But, I mean, when is the last time we've seen somebody with talent just not work in this offense?
I mean, I'll tell you what. Ben Johnson, I think we all trust that he is a damn good offensive coordinator. A lot of people, including myself, think he is the best offensive coordinator in the NFL. If he doesn't scheme open some crossing routes for Jameson Williams, it is absolute malfeasance, because he's one of the guys in the NFL that can take one of those crossing routes with a defender. You know the whole saying, if he's even, he's leaving. I mean, you even saw that in the Green Bay Packer game where that touchdown was called back. It was one of the most impressive plays, certainly the most impressive plays that I've seen from him. Unfortunately, it didn't count. But Jameson Williams, I like the fact that he's coming to practice early. He should have that hunger to get back on the field because, and here's something that has been pointed out, and I think it's not talked about very much. He hasn't played a ton of football in the last 4 or 5 years or so. And during his couple years at Ohio State, he didn't get a ton of playing time. Last year, he only played 6 games. It was that 1 year at Alabama where he really showed out, where he really showed what he can do, which was be the best wide receiver in the country, be one of the most dynamic threats of the wide receiver position that I've personally ever seen at the collegiate level.
Yes.
Like, he was Deshaun Jackson, but ran better routes and was a better pure wide receiver. But I'm talking in terms of big play ability. He was basically like Deshaun and Jackson-esque. So it's if he can get some crossing routes in space, good luck stopping this offense. I wouldn't want to do it.
Not even that, but when you look at this offensive line, you talk about Penei Sewell and Jonah Jackson, the screen game that they're going to be able to do with Jameson Williams, the end around. We saw against Chicago this year when Penei Sewell was lead blocking in front of Jameson Williams behind him when they got a 35-yard gain out of it. They're going to just find ways to get playmakers the ball, and when it's a playmaker like Jameson Williams, that's very hard to stop, no matter what is going on off the field. When you're in between the lines during a football game, Jameson Williams is a player that you want on your team. There's no doubt about it.
And people would say, well, Lucas, Jeff, Sam, Gabby, JB, what evidence do you have to suggest that JMO will be great? And I'm like, well, you don't really know if anyone's going to be great, but the only evidence I have is all 3 times the football has been in his hands, it's went for over 40 yards. That's a fact. That rush wasn't 35; it was 40.
My fault. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm wrong.
No, and I'm only saying that because that's something that I know people. Neil says every time he touched the ball, it's went for a touchdown. That's not true. He touched the ball in the run game on an end around and went for 40 yards. He caught that pass against Minnesota, 40 yards, and that Green Bay was 40 yards, but it was called back.
Yes.
So that small sample size, I know people would say, it's a super small sample size. That shows me, man, get the guy the football, and the more experience he gets, especially in joint practice, I think it's great experience for him. Not that people are like, well, he struggled yesterday a little bit. Okay, like these are the things you want.
That's why you practice.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not like it's Daniel Jones where you just got signed to a extension that you shouldn't have gotten, and now that you're the quarterback 1 entering your 5th, 6th year, you're going 5 for 12. No, this man's a 2nd-year wide receiver coming off an ACL injury, and last year he wasn't even really supposed to be playing. No one expected JMO to be playing. So the sample size that we did get, I think we should be thankful that we even got it. And now he's going to be coming back even healthier. He's going to have more time to have the game slow down for him with a great offensive coordinator. This guy's not going to fail. I'm sorry, but it's just not going to happen.
Oh, and I love this. David Brewer says, actually, the rush was 41, Jeff.
Yeah.
See, he got me.
We both stand correct.
He got me. It was more than what I said.
No, the rush was 40. The catch was 41. Look it up.
Hey, I got backup.
Flannel.
I got backup. Thank
We
you,
don't,
Flannel.
we don't need to look it up. We have flannel here.
No, and I'm not trying to obviously be a dick. That might have been something that I could have let slide. But at the same time, I think many things can be true about Jameson Williams, because I saw this from Dave Schultz, and I definitely can't let this go. Whoa, Flannel complimenting JMO, has hell frozen over. And I can see why you think that way, because all right, now
you threw a JMO straight yesterday.
You
said Nate Sudfeld or something like that had the same amount of touchdowns thrown as JMO did a catch. 1.
But
He goes, whoa.
As I've said before, I think Jameson Williams is going to be great. I believe in his talent, but I do think I have been a little bit uncomfortable with us basically preeminently deciding that he has shown enough that he's going to be great. I think that he has the talent to be great, but I'm not going to be thankful for 1 catch. I'll be thankful that it went for a touchdown, but it was still 1 catch.
But what I'm saying is not thankful. Maybe we shouldn't be like, oh my God, thank you, JMO. But appreciate the fact that we saw what this man is. As in his rookie season, when it would be like Hendon Hooker coming in this year, week 18, throwing for 2 touchdowns. You'd be like, oh, It's not like crazy, but I'm happy that I saw this man knows how to play football, and that's what we saw to J-Mo last year. Whether it was consistent or not, you can see what could be there.
Yeah, no, that is 100% true, and I think that the better evidence is what he did in college, and the fact that he was a very, very high draft pick, and that he would have been the #1 wide receiver taken if not for his injury. I think that is all evidence that he is going to be very, very good.
Just admit you're with J-Mo. I'm a wait and see guy. That's what you are right now.
Well, I wouldn't,
because we have enough to at least project, and have an opinion on something, but you need to see it.
So I would say that I go beyond a wait and see guy. I have to kind of be the balance of the people saying that he's already a superstar. That's what I have to be.
That's fair. I'm just a guy where it's like if my eyes see something,
that's how
if I see it, even if it's regardless of the level, like when we talk about draft prospects, if I see something and I know that man is good, I don't have to wait and see. Like Penei Sewell, he's not a top 5 tackle right now, but I'm top 5 because next year after that, he's going to be top 5. It's just a matter of time. So if I know a guy has a ceiling like that, and I'm not taking a shot at you, I'm just saying in general, Flannel, I don't get the whole wait and see. Because if you believe a guy has talent, then invest into that guy.
You know what's interesting? I heard this yesterday. I was watching just some Colin Cowherd, and Mark Schlereth was on the show, and he talked about John Lynch once told him, I can't describe to you a Hall of Famer, but I know it when I see it. That's what he said. Not saying Jim was a Hall of Famer, but basically saying if you see something, you know the guy's talented. Like for J-Mo, I know he's talented. But you're right, Sam. He has to be healthy. He has to be on the field. He has to produce. Oh, that's very true.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to pick on you, Lucas, but I don't like the comparison right now between Penei Sewell and Jamison Williams.
No, I'm just comparing because it is a drastic example. I'm just saying, like, you can see the outreach of where these players could be. Like Penei Sewell's ceiling, top tackle in the league. Am I willing to say that? No, because I think there's other tackles that could contend for that. But I know for a fact, one day Penei Sewell easily could be this year. He's going to be a top 5 tackle in the NFL. In my opinion, I believe Jamison Williams one day will be a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL with all the talent that he has with his situation. So I'm not going to wait and be like, yeah, that man, I got to wait to see if he's good. Like, I know Jamison Williams is good. I don't have to wait and for the first touchdown catch in week 7, week 8, be like, all right, now this man's really something. Like, I already know this man's good. I've watched his film. There's not much that you have to pick apart with him besides a gambling suspension.
I want to get to just one more player and get Gabby, and I want to get JB's thoughts because now, see, we're used to JB not having his camera. Now we gotta let JB cook today. Sam Laporta. Oh, jeez. I knew we were gonna get to this eventually. He said rookie tight end Sam Laporta had a drop, but also showed why he's poised to make a big impact as a receiver. The Giants linebackers could not cover him. Laporta also made nice downfield blocks to free some yak for St. Brown on an out route. Okay, I'll start with you, Gabby, before Lucas. He's over there foaming at the mouth probably right now about Sam Laporta. What'd you see?
That catch that he did mention that he missed, it was like you wanted him to make it so bad because you knew that would prove like everyone and everything and all this hype that's around him. And obviously he was having some good movement aside from that, but that would have just been the icing on the cake, the cherry on top. And while it didn't happen, I think the fact that he was there and he was making himself available and he's getting in the right spots and the timing is there, it's very clear that he knows what he's doing in that position. And that was the biggest worry from everyone, is how quickly he can learn this tight end position. And I think this proved that he's been able to do that in a very short period of time.
And I love these comments coming in because people are already chiming in. Denver Blair, there's Lucas Hall of Famer. Yep. Bob Johnson, Lucas getting a chub over there about Laporta. I love Dre says Laporta had a drop ? Bust.
Watch your mouth. You watch your mouth.
JB, I want to go to you, my man. Not just with Laporta, but anything that you saw yesterday that stuck out to you, things to note that you liked.
Well, definitely the Sam Laporta thing, just because, yes, he had a drop, but I feel like on the field, he's automatically trying to correct what went wrong for the next play or trying to be better for the next play. Another spark was Jahmyr Gibbs. I know we played the video several times. I was pretty much like Lucas over here foaming at the mouth, just like, man, this dude is too fast right now. No one is going to be able to catch this guy, and I'm just overall impressed. And might I add, RIP to the Giants yesterday because the Lions defense just stole Daniel Jones' soul. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
JB, you know what this looks like? You know what this clip looks like? This is you running the Taylor Swift's tour bus. That's what it looks like. This is JB on his way, dude.
I mean, the door was open, so I have to make it in there somehow.
Oh, I love you, JB.
JB makes a really good point, and I want to reiterate this. I think it says a lot to the character of Laporta and his growth in that every single time that he comes off the field, he is always going and assessing what he's done, whether it be with his teammates or with the coaches or a coordinator. Every single time he stepped off that field, immediately when he missed that catch, he went off the field and he was figuring out what he did wrong and how he could fix it for next time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what you need. And then, not that it was getting him down, but that he was going right back in it and still making things happen and still making moves, even though it may not have gone well in that play before. He's able to brush it off, learn, and move on.
Short-term memory with making mistakes, man. That's what you want to see with
What
young
Hall of Famers
players.
do.
You know, wait, what'd you say?
That's what Hall of Famers do.
Can I just end this with a little with a little bit of a bone to pick that I have with the morning Woodward Show chat and the Woodward Sports Show chat as a whole. It's when I last season was just all bricked up for Aiden Hutchinson, said that he was going to get 12 sacks as a rookie, said that he was going to be great. I got infinitely more pushback than Lucas gets for saying that Sam Laporta is going to be a Hall of Famer.
You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because I know ball, baby.
Oh,
you know what?
Yeah.
I was called Michigan Slappy. You're a Michigan Slappy. Oh my God! Did you see the Georgia game? That's what I got. And now when Lucas says Sam Laporta is going to be a Hall of Famer, at this point everyone is just kind of like. At this point, I don't even see any pushback anymore.
Well, Sam Flannel, it's like when you said DeAndre Swift would lead the NFC in rushing.
That was bad.
But then there's J-Mo where you're like, I got to wait and see. Where's the line, Sam?
I mean, J-Mo had a rookie year where he had 1 catch in 6
We just went over how he probably shouldn't even have played last year.
But I mean, he did.
You know what? Speaking of Hall of Famers.
I can't get into this.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, let me tell you about a Hall of Fame defense. It's guarding alarm.
There
How
we
about
go.
that? Customized solutions from real experts. They got it. 24/7 professional monitoring. They got it. Technology backed by people. They got it. All you got to do is call 1-800-STAY-OUT. Tell them your friends at Woodward Sports sent you, and they'll get you hooked up with an elite defense. I don't know about as good of a defense or as good of a player as Sam Laporta, but they'll get you an elite defense. Check them out.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer at Academy of Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new field house. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, Learning Street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Holton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here at woodwardsports.com. Thanks so much for tuning in this morning. And if you're watching now, you should tune back in at 11 a.m. for Big D Energy, 2 p.m. for Ermanni and Edwards with Mez, and 5 p.m. for the Woodward Heavyweights. And as always, follow us on all social media at Woodward Sports.
Welcome, everybody. We're going to get into more Lions discussions here, and this was yesterday that this came out, NFL.com. If you don't check the Lions stuff out on there, you should, because they just came out with an NFL power rankings for the preseason for the 2023-2024 NFL season. And, this is interesting. And I'll tell you where they have the Lions, but in a second, I'll just tell you who they have at the top of this list, just to give some context so everybody kind of understands, right? Because I love reacting to these preseason lists because it's always fun, right? Kansas City's number 1. Clearly, that's easy. Number 2 is Philly. Those two are pretty self-explanatory. And I'll get you. Do you already have a graphic of what the Lions description is? If not, I'll get you it.
No, I don't have it.
Okay, then I'll get you it. But number 3, San Francisco 49ers. That's fair. Number 4, Cincinnati Bengals. Number 5, the Buffalo Bills. Okay, so now these teams we would agree are better than the Lions.
Yeah,
right. No
sure.
disagreements here. Okay. 6, the Dallas Cowboys. They have the Dallas Cowboys at 6. Okay, keep that in mind. 7, Baltimore Ravens. 8, New York Jets. Sam Flannel's, Aaron Rodgers, the New York Jets.
Yeah.
You're proud of that, I bet. 9, Miami Dolphins. 10, Jacksonville Jaguars. And then coming at 11 is the Detroit Lions. Now, just to give you who's behind them, 12 is the Chargers. 13 is the Browns. So the Lions preseason ranking, they're the 11th best team currently right now in the NFL. And the question I have before we get into any other discussions is, are they 5 spots worse than the Cowboys? Cowboys are at 6, Lions are at 11. Sam Flannel, your thoughts?
No, I would say they're not 5 spots worse than the Cowboys. I think they should be kind of 1 away from each other, because I still think that it's a toss-up who is going to finish with a better record. I don't think the Cowboys are going to win their respective division as I do the Lions. So if they were to match up in the playoffs, I think the Lions would get home field advantage and they would win. But I'm not just going to disregard the Cowboys as just some trash team that has no business being in the Lions league, as Lucas would, and I'm sure he's going to tell us in a minute. With the Lions, the thing that I like to focus on more so than the fact that they're ranked number 11 is they're ranked as the number 1 team in the NFC North by this list, because the Vikings are second at 16, which I don't think is right. I think the Vikings are ranked too high, but at least when it comes to this list, the Lions are respected in terms of being the class of the NFC North, and they are the 4th ranked NFC team, which I think they're going to be fighting for 3. I ultimately think they will get the 3 seed in the NFC, maybe courtesy of the Cowboys or the Eagles not winning that tougher division. But still, I think that the Lions are going to get the 3 seed. There is one, though, team that I have a problem with. I feel like they get constantly overrated.
Who is it?
The Ravens at 7.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
The Ravens at 7.
Defensively,
I'm with you.
But 7, like 7. Over some of these teams that would take over the Ravens, quite frankly. And again, to Sam Flannel's point, right now, at least NFC teams, up until the Lions are the 4th NFC team. So they have them 4th in the NFC. Yeah. They have the 49ers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and then the Detroit Lions. And they have Seattle right after them. And I guess I'll go to you, Lucas, on this, and I'll go around the room. 2 questions. 1, should they be ranked higher than the Cowboys? Cowboys are 6th. And number 2, and I guess it kind of ties into that question, are the Detroit Lions a top 10 team on paper?
The Detroit Lions are absolutely a top 10 team. There's no doubt about it.
There you go.
As of 2023, week 1, the Detroit Lions theoretically should be ranked ahead of the Cowboys, but not just yet, because we just saw the Cowboys the last couple of years. They've beaten the Lions. This is the year that all that starts to change. The Lions are – I think the Lions – I think we're at Dallas this year. We could be home against us. Either way, I think that's the game where we really see what the Lions are about, because it's late in the season. That's going to have a lot to do with playoff seeding. And I do truly believe that the Lions are a more complete team from top to bottom than the Dallas Cowboys. They have better coaching. They have better management. This is the year that the Lions overtake the Cowboys, and I finally think the Lions take that theoretical monkey off their back when it comes to the Cowboys, because we all know the playoff game, the Monday night game, is the only time when Zach Zenner was going off that I can really remember the Lions having success against the Cowboys, and I think that all starts to change this year.
Well, I mean,
there's 5 spots is egregious, though.
Yeah.
If the Cowboys are 6, the Lions need to be at like 8.
Yeah, and honestly, with the Dallas Cowboys, one of the staples of their team, at least since 2016 when Dak and Zeke came into the league, was their offensive line. But it's not the Cowboys' offensive line of yesteryear. I actually think the Lions have a decided advantage at offensive 100%. Line, and I think that they will actually be able to get some pressure on Dak Prescott when they play the Cowboys later on in the season. I think the one area where I think the Cowboys have a clear and present advantage would probably be in terms of the edge rushers and the defensive line. I mean, I love Aiden Hutchinson more as much as the next person. He ain't no Micah Parsons yet. He may become Micah Parsons, but he's not him yet. And even DeMarcus Lawrence.
Got Penei Sewell, though.
I mean, Penei Sewell.
We saw where Micah was when they played.
Hey, but Micah Parsons.
Put him in a phone booth.
But
not to be seen.
That actually did not happen. It wasn't a phone booth. Penei Sewell, he did a damn good job against Micah Parsons, but both things can be true. Micah Parsons also wrecked that game and was by far the best player on the field.
Let me ask you this question, Flannel,
Okay.
and I'm honestly asking.
Okay.
Do you think the difference between the Cowboys' defensive line and the Lions' offensive line is bigger than the Lions' defensive line and the Cowboys' offensive line, if that makes sense? Like, if you had to pick an advantage for both sides.
In the trenches.
Yeah, in the trenches. Just trenches as a whole. You don't have to do it like that. If you have to give combined offensive, defensive lines, who do you think has the advantage? Who has better linemen?
Man, I would actually probably go with the Lions at this point, because here's the thing. One of the reasons why the Cowboys' offensive line has fallen off is Tyron Smith. He was once probably the best left tackle in the NFL. Now he can't stay on the field, and when he plays isn't even very good anymore.
Right.
The only one that still is elite is Zach Martin.
Who is MIA right now.
Hey, and that is and if Zach Martin doesn't play, certainly the Cowboys' offensive line is mid at best.
No, I'll take the Lions in a heartbeat. You talk about in the trenches. Yeah, I mean, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, but to your point, if we're taking everything into consideration, I'm taking the Lions. Now, if you want to say the Dallas Cowboys have a better defense on paper, I'll get with that. Yeah. I think that's fair right now at this point in time. Note that at this point in time, yeah, they have a better defense. But offensively, this is the thing about the Cowboys. It's all pizzazz, right? You got Brandon Cooks, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got Tony Pollard. But at the end of the day, you see what's going on in training camp. I feel like we've seen 6 picks in the last 4 days.
We got more coming up at 9:40 too.
And this, we do. Okay, great. So it doesn't matter what you have on paper. It's about execution, and nobody executes at a higher level. At least I can name 3 to 4 teams other than the Detroit Lions. They proved that last year. So offensively and defensively, you can make a case. But again, this is why it's close. That's why I will not say in every, Booner yelled at me for this or got frustrated with me that I wouldn't say they'll beat the Cowboys if they get them in the playoffs, because it's close. But if we're going against history,
in the playoffs,
I'll
Lions
take
got it in the bag.
Yeah,
Rain Prescott in the playoffs. Rain Prescott playoffs. That's all you have to know. Now it's a dub.
Answer the question here: are they a top 10 team, Gabby? I'll go to you on this. Have they proven enough? Do you think they've proven enough to be a top 10 team in the NFL yet, or you think it's a little too early? Maybe they're rising.
I think it's a little bit early, and I'm saying that because I think from what they're saying, they still believe that it's early. Obviously, they deserve respect, and they deserve their flowers for their growth, but we have to see how they show up this season at the top of the season. And, I mean, you can even count it in this preseason, but really once the regular season starts, we have to see how they react to all of this hype and to their growth beyond that and their consistency beyond that, because I don't think that they even want to be yes, it would be nice to be considered top 10, but they're not even looking at it. They want to just prove it. And I think they believe from their narrative and what they've been saying in all their media sessions that they have not proved it yet.
And like you said, this is a results-driven league, but to Gabby's point here, players, they don't give a damn about these rankings. They want to go out, win the division, win a playoff game, and hopefully go on a run there. And then the game will speak for it. They don't have to go out and talk about being a top 10 team. The results will show that. But JB, I want your thoughts on 2 things. One, they're better than the Cowboys. How much better? If not, if you disagree, that's fine. And are they a top 10 team?
Well, one, yes, they are better than the Cowboys. And yes.
Let's go, JB.
They are a top 10 team. I'm looking at this list right now, and I see a couple teams on here that I'm just like, I need to see it from them this season to actually have them ranked this high. As you said, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Jets. I'm sorry, but as of last night watching Hard Knocks, nothing impressed me at all to put the Jets here at 8. I just don't care. I don't care for Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. But
JB's good. I love it, JB. And they have the Jaguars on there, do they not, JB?
They have the Jaguars on there at 10, which I can respect that. I see something
but
up
the
and
Lions
coming.
obliterated them. The Lions almost killed Trevor Lawrence last year. James Houston,
man.
I mean, it wasn't a close game. That was not a close game. There was a talent difference there, and the Lions got better. And so did the Jaguars, though. Don't get me wrong. They're a good team.
But is it fair, though, that the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think, got the won a playoff game bump? And I know that they had the exact same record as the Lions. They were just fortunate enough to play in the worst division in football. But I think when you've actually went on the field and earned it and actually went into the playoffs and won a game, I don't necessarily have a problem with them being ranked one spot ahead of the Lions. I think the Lions could be better, but
yeah, I think they're a top 10 team. But to your point, Sam, it's it's hard because people, when they make these rankings, they have that 1 and 6 in the back of their head.
Yeah, and
you think of the 8 and 2, but then you think of the 1 and 6, and you're like, how do I rank this team? And they got much better this offseason, but I do agree now they're a top 10 team. But even for a team like Jacksonville, after that Lions loss, it turned things around for them. And again, Trevor Lawrence, he threw 4 picks in that playoff game, but he still came back and won. They went, essentially toe to toe. Not Trevor Lawrence went toe to toe, but the Jags were in that game against the Chiefs. So, hey, Lions are going to be a top 10 team this year easily. I can't wait for those week to week power rankings. Mm-hmm. You see the Lions, baby. It's going to be like that stock chart where it's just a shooting up arrow. That's going to be the Lions this season. I do believe that. But we're going to go to break. When we get back, I want to get into another ESPN list. They talked about breakout players for each NFL team. You're going to want to see who they have for the Detroit Lions. And I know Sam Flannel's going to want to see too. He's going to enjoy this one. I know he is. We'll go to break. I got to tell you, or actually, no, JB's got to tell you about our friends over at Big Boy.
Oh, Big Boy. Did you know Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy? Try the classic breakfast items like the strawberry hotcakes or the mouth-watering red velvet waffles. But if you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with a refreshing summer splash salad. But don't leave without grabbing some dessert, because I got the very delicious classic strawberry pie, the deep-fried vanilla Oreos, and of course, the strawberry hot fudge cakes, and so much more at your local Big Boy.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
How would you like a 100K Vegas getaway? Well, take your closest friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. It's the Cintron Energy. Drink it and live it. Purchase a 24-pack today, and you're entered to win the 100K Vegas getaway at drinkcintron.com/Vegas and buy Cintron at your local Meijer store. Cintron, the healthier energy drink with great taste and the choice of people who desire to look good, feel great, and be the best versions of themselves. Again, drinkcintron.com/Vegas. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. It's the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. If you're watching on YouTube, which we appreciate every single one of you, hit that like button. We'll try to get to 150 likes by the end of this segment. Don't forget as well, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new to the show, we appreciate you. Welcome. Thank you for choosing us this morning. Could have been anywhere else, but you're here with us. And also, podcasts. We're on anywhere you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star review, Morning Woodward Show. I mean, how can you not? The guy wears different flannels every day. Leave a 5-star review for my guy. Now let's get into this breakout player for the Detroit Lions. And Lucas, do you have the...
I do.
Hold up. Don't throw it up yet. Let me read how this list was kind of made, and just so people get some context of this. This was written by Bill Barnwell, which, we brought up a couple things by Bill. But he made a list, and basically it's different tiers. He has Pro Bowler to Superstar, Starters to Pro Bowlers, rotation to solid starters, and post-type candidates. So it's like a tier list.
Okay.
Now, this Lions player is Pro Bowler to Superstar. That's the ranking this player's in.
Is that pretty much the highest tier?
Yes. So Bill thinks this player will go from a Pro Bowler this year to a Superstar next year. And he went through really every team, and we can even go through some of the teams. But let's go with the Detroit Lions. We'll see who they picked. And this is a very, very special player, a player that I love. It's Penei Sewell.
We were just talking about it a second ago.
This man, and he writes, taking 6 picks after Lawrence in the 2021 draft, Sewell has quickly improved. Much of the rawness to his game that he showed as a rookie in 2021 has been eliminated, as he has been able to convert more of his skills and range to consistently erase opposing pass rushers. Per the FTN Football Almanac 2023, Sewell's blown block rate was just 3% last season. Oh my gosh. Which was the 6th best mark in the league among tackles. For most teams, Sewell would be a superstar left tackle. While he looked impressive during his stint on the blind side as a rookie, the Lions already have a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle in Taylor Decker, so Sewell's stuck on the right side. The Eagles' Lane Johnson has been the gold standard of NFL right tackles when healthy over the past decade, but as a player who doesn't even turn 23 until October.
That's crazy.
By the way, I turned 23 in October. Shout out to Penei Sewell. Sewell is the best contender to challenge for Johnson's throne. There you go. Pro Bowler to Superstar.
I'm with it.
I'm with it. Wait, I'm telling you, Penei Sewell, man, and Lord only knows what he could be as a left tackle as well, because that's the position he played at Oregon before he took that red shirt or the break during COVID. But he was always a left tackle. He had to switch to right tackle. He struggled a little bit in preseason and during the season, and people were, everyone was freaking out. I understand, but at the same time, when he got the groove, Sam Flannel, the man never looked back. Yeah. And now he has, I would say, I'm gonna keep saying it, He's got hands, probably the best hands out of all tackles.
I mean,
You see those hands.
he had that one catch, which was obviously impressive.
Hey, he's got hands.
Hey,
I mean, he's got that one catch.
He's learning from Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Hey, as many catches as Jamison Williams last year.
No,
But okay,
see,
all
this
right.
is what we're talking
You
about,
guys-
Flannel. You snuck one in
Throwing
yesterday
strays.
at the remote, and now you're doing it again.
Sam Flannel.
Okay, if you guys were Chris Paul lobbing it up to me, I was just DeAndre Jordan throwing it down. That was too easy. That was too easy. But that's all beside the point. So one thing that I found interesting too, and this is just another kind of little like side snipe that I have to get out there. I think this idea that Taylor Decker is a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle, I think that's become a talking point because
that's generous.
He has never made a Pro Bowl in his entire career. A lot of people I don't think know that, but that actually he has never made one. And I think that if Penei Sewell were to step over and be the left tackle, that he would immediately be better than Taylor Decker at left tackle. I just think that Taylor Decker maybe switching to right would be too much of a liability. So I'm okay with the way that it is set up for now. Obviously, a lot of people think that I'm a Penei Sewell hater. That is not true at all. I just think this idea that here's my thing with Penei Sewell. Maybe it's a little bit of personal animus or bitterness. I still will never get over how I was called every name in the book for basically hyping up Aiden Hutchinson. And now when people already act like we have a Hall of Fame tackle right now, people are just like, absolutely, it's 100% already a known fact that right now already Penei Sewell is the love child of Trent Williams and Jesus. But
what are you trying to say here, Flannel?
I am trying to say that Penei Sewell, I think that he is going to be very, very good this year. I think it's good to acknowledge that he has to take that leap into superstardom in order to justify the hype that I think people are already giving him. And here's the thing, I think that he can do it. It wouldn't shock me at all if he becomes the best of the young tackles. I include Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, Christian Darrisaw, Rashawn Slater, and Penei Sewell. I think that there's a chance that Penei Sewell becomes the best out of all of them as early as this year, because as of right now, I think it's all pretty even between all of them. And we talk about Penei Sewell like he's already a Hall of Famer, and if you said that Christian Darrisaw was a gold jacket guy, I think people would come after you with pitchforks. Maybe that's just Lions bias, but still that's true though. I think that is 100% true that people would have that reaction.
Well, and I want to go to the people before we get
right.
around the room here. Hoof-hearted, J-Mo living rent-free in Flannel's head.
I mean,
always.
Tony D, Flannel is the devil's advocate. Let's see here. Justin O, no Sam is a Sewell hater.
I'm not a Sewell hater.
Brett Austin, Sam hates the Lions. Why is he even on this network?
You know what? I don't hate the Lions. You know what?
He does not hate the Lions.
Let me just give him some flowers. What Penei Sewell is already elite at is run blocking. He's one of the best run blocking tackles in the NFL. That's just by the numbers. That's just how it plays out. And I think that when it's all said and done, he could be the best run blocking tackle in the league as soon as next season. Maybe not the best, but certainly get better. It's his pass blocking, which is still a little bit suspect because
Didn't look that way against Micah Parsons. Saying.
But oh boy.
Well, and look at this. Look at this one. Jake says, "Yeah, I agree. Sewell's a better left tackle and right tackle than Decker. So it is best to let Decker play his stronger spot." Yeah, and that's again but Decker's been in the league for a handful of years. So he's been playing left tackle his entire career. So it'd be easier for Penei to just jump right into right tackle than try and or at least for Taylor at his age to relearn and play right tackle. I mean, it just makes more sense.
A very smart man just said that about 2 minutes ago. I wonder who that is.
Yeah.
And I'm a hater.
No. Apparently you hate the Lions though, Sam. I guess that's the rumor. Even though you do not. He does not hate the Lions. Steve says, I'm with you, Sam. You're realistic. Most people are anointing dudes without seeing them yet. Yeah, Steve gets it. Let's see, Daniel, bro, this show was on such a come up and genuinely look forward to the show, just not the same. Well, Daniel, my apologies for that. You can feel free to tune out whenever you want. It is what it is. Dave Schultz, bravo, Lucas, for trying to limit Sam's words, using 1,000 words when all the people can say it in 10. Wow, people are giving it to Sam Flannel today. All because Sam is just like, hey, guys. Whoa. It's like, no, you hate the Lions, bud. I mean, you hate them.
There's no in between.
Admit it. You hate them.
Oh, boy.
I love it.
Should I drop this bomb really quick or should I let it go?
You should
drop
the
it,
bomb.
Flannel. Drop it.
According to Pro Football Focus, Penei Sewell was the 36th ranked pass blocker last season in the NFL, behind the likes of Charles Leno, Taylor Decker, Jermaine Eluemunor, James Hurst, Taylor Moton, Jawan Taylor, and Cam Robinson. I'm just saying, let's pump the brakes a little bit on the Penei Sewell is already Orlando Pace talk. Come on now. Come on.
Orlando Pace.
That's all I'm saying.
This is why PFF is so tough, because with certain analytics, it's BS, but then you can use it in other moments to kind of benefit your argument. Like, yeah, but you watch Penei, though. Like, you watch Penei. You know that like, Penei and what he's done this past season, like, to be the 30th ranked in anything among tackles is bogus.
Okay, fair enough.
But who cares?
But that's why the
whatever.
eye test, unlike what people say, is flawed, and that's why you need some numbers to back it up. I mean, my eye test told me at the beginning of his career that Will Fuller was going to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He was obviously very good. He can never stay healthy. That's why the eye test, you can't just rely on it for everything. I know you guys hate numbers now, and the only reason you hate numbers is because I love numbers so much, but still, they are valuable. You can't just discount that as nothing.
Now, JB, I want to go to JB on this, the voice of reason.
The true voice of reason.
What's up?
Penei Sewell, Pro Bowler to superstar. Can this man be a superstar as soon as next season? He's arrived, but can he really arrive?
I think he's going to, I don't want to say arrive, but I'll just say get better. Year by year, he is going to get better, and he will be that superstar, that Pro Bowl player that we all want and love, the gold jacket, as everyone is basically putting it on him as of right now, especially Neil Rule as well. He will get there, but it's just going to take time, and I think he's focusing on himself to get better year by year. He's dusted off that rookie season that he's had and constantly progressed himself more and more. So I'm just looking forward to seeing this guy play more. And as you all said, Taylor Decker plays better on his side as well, so now just let Penei do his thing over here. Eventually, and just even to be compared to Lane Johnson like that by this ESPN writer, like that's amazing right there. That's big time.
And it's crazy because the thing that they have in common, Lane and Penei, are just the athleticism. Like, Lane Johnson was a hell of an athlete. Like, he played different positions before he moved to right tackle too. So, and Penei Sewell has that type of athleticism, Lucas. So if anybody can do that, man, that's why it's pretty seamless as he got used to playing right tackle, because he just has that athleticism. That man, for being 6'7", 330, 340, he don't move like he's 6'7", 340.
No, and I think that's the whole thing.
And 22 years old.
Penei Sewell, he was drafted as a top 10 tackle in the draft. He's a top 10 draft pick. So the prospect was for him to be this caliber of player. And I think everyone on this network, regardless of your opinion, is that he has been the last thing from a bust. I think Penei Sewell has been everything that we wanted him to be. And now you line that with what he was supposed to be. At this trajectory, this is the year that he takes that step. And he has shown us everything that he is capable of it. And with another year where he's going to just... I know I say it all the time, but it's honestly the key to, in my opinion, what makes NFL players good to great to even being a bust is if the game slows down and you can put your imprint on. And I think this is the year where we truly see, like Flannel said, in the run game, Penei Sewell is going to be dominant. And you brought up valid points about being worried about Penei in pass coverage. I think this is the year where he tightens those up, and that's what allows him to be from a Pro Bowler to a superstar. So I 100% agree with this. I think if there's anybody that's more just bound to hit every mark that they're supposed to in their career as far as getting to a Hall of Fame on this team, all pro, if you don't want to say Hall of Fame, it's Penei Sewell. I know we love Amon-Ra St. Brown, but as far as just built to be a left-right tackle in this league, Penei Sewell checks every box.
Right, and I think that there's an argument that right now, and especially going into the next year, that he might end up being the best overall player on the team. And you can make an argument that he even was last year, although you could also go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, the like, but you could definitely argue for Penei Sewell or Frank Ragnow as well. And for, like I said, for everybody saying that I'm a Penei Sewell hater, I basically said that he was around the same class as Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, Christian Darrisaw, Rashawn Slater. Those are all, along with Penei Sewell, the up-and-coming rising stars when it comes to tackles in the NFL. And it wouldn't shock me this year if Penei Sewell is clearly better than all of them, if he's the quickest one out of all of them to make an All-Pro. I mean, at least the next All-Pro. I think Tristan Wirfs has already made one. But still, I am not a Penei Sewell hater. I don't know. I just think this accepted knowledge that he's a gold jacket guy is a little bit premature. That's all.
Wait, what? We got to call this out.
Oh, boy.
Speak easy. I love Penei Sewell. I'm boys with Penei Sewell. I have his phone number. But Parsons is him. So why'd you have to include all...
What?
You just had to casually throw in there. I have his phone number. I don't ever want to hear I'm Hollywood ever again. That conversation's over. Like, we're done with the whole Hollywood. What?
That was, yeah.
Easy. I got his phone number, but he's better. What does his phone number have to do with anything, Easy? I swear, I saw you. You're slick. You think you're slick. That's why I love you, Easy. Just throw it in casually. I got Panay's phone number. Man, and I get called Holly. We got to tell him the overall.
And then to say that Micah's better.
Micah is better. Micah Parsons is objectively a better football player right now.
At this point, he is better. Micah's better. Now, we'll see after a 10, 15-year career. We'll see. But Micah right now, I mean, his production, he came in and was eating right away.
Head-to-head.
Okay, but you know the good news, Lucas, and I think, and because you know ball, you know that football is not a one-on-one game.
No, but I'm just saying, who would I rather have?
You're insane.
I just saw both of these prospects.
Insane.
We have Aiden Hutchinson. I saw both these prospects. It's not that Mike is bad, but as far as the left tackle, right tackle, because once Taylor retires, I could see them moving Panay over the left tackle.
Jake says, "Easy getting a text tonight. Lose my number." Hey man, like, lose my number. We'll see.
Keep that same energy.
Yeah, keep
that same energy.
Keep that same energy. I'll tell you what, we're gonna head to break really quick, and when we come back, we'll get into the Michigan discussion. You know, Michigan lands number 2 in college football, the preseason poll, according to coaches. Championship or bust, Sam Flannel.
Can't wait. Can't wait to talk about it.
That's the waters you're in right now as a Michigan fan.
That's the waters I'm in.
But before we do that, can you tell us about our friends over at Swiss Insurance?
Oh, absolutely. Because now that summer's here, it is important to make sure you are properly covered. Whether it's a grad party or just a group of people over to enjoy the lake or pool, your liability exposure increases significantly in summertime. Let the Swiss Insurance Group review your coverage and make sure you are protected from an unexpected loss. Check us out at swissins.com or call Mark today at 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177. Swiss Insurance.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network. Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Let me tell you about our friends over at the Academy of Warren. They have a brand new state-of-the-art sports dome field house that has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, and soccer field. Also can be used for 7-on-7 football, K-8 athletics as well. They got free breakfast and lunch, futuristic media center, small classroom sizes, and again, don't forget, Ermanni and Edwards will be broadcasting there with Maz, by the way, at their carnival August 24th. Come meet the staff and explore your child's new school. The Academy of Warren is now accepting new enrollment. All you got to do is go to theacademyofwarren.net.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here at woodwardsports.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening via podcast, download this episode and leave a 5-star review, and then go follow us on all social media at Woodward Sports.
Alex says, Jeff trying to squirm out of being called Hollywood. No, all I'm saying is you don't hear me throwing around numbers. You don't hear me saying, hold on, let me, Kate's brother called me. Like, we're not doing this. Like, that's Hollywood. Like, I don't know. You know what, though? I'm cool with it. Whatever you want to call me, I'm cool with it. But we got to get to Michigan, though, Sam Flannel.
Yes.
Michigan football. Number 2.
Yeah.
Coach's poll. What do you think? Championship or bust? Give me some of your reactions to that.
I mean, I've said numerous times that this season it absolutely is championship or bust.
At least you're not soft.
Yes.
Okay, you're going all the way here.
Is that... Do I hear something in the background?
Oh, jeez,
Do I hear the most beautiful sound in the world? We're going to be hearing that a lot this year, especially when Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum just go for touchdown after touchdown. J.J. McCarthy to Cornelius Johnson to Colston Loveland.
J.J. McCarthy!
J.J. McCarthy getting
Gus
some.
Johnson.
Yes, J.J. McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, go! Can we catch him? No! We're going to be hearing that a lot. We're going to be seeing lots of J.J. to Colston Loveland, lots of J.J. rushing touchdowns, lots of J.J. to Cornelius Johnson. But anywho, that's beside the point. I just got a little bricked up hearing Hearing a little hail to the victors.
You got old Wolverine.
You know, JB, I am forever indebted to you for that because it just gave me a lot of positive vibes and positive energy that I'm going to carry with me into the college football season because Michigan absolutely should be ranked number 2 in the coaches poll. It wouldn't even shock me if they were ranked number 1. And here's the reality.
It would shock me if they were ranked 1.
Well, I will try to convince you otherwise because there are a couple of factors I think this year playing heavily into Michigan. This actually being national championship or bust. This actually being different than teams of years past. I think this is the first year going in because most seasons, if you're Michigan football, you have to get through Ohio State to make it to the college football playoff. As Neil Rule often points out, maybe this year, if they're undefeated going into that game, they could still lose to Ohio State and make the college football playoff, but still, it would be better for Michigan to defeat Ohio State. This is the first year, I think, since the times when John Cooper was coaching Ohio State, where you can say that Michigan has the clear and decided advantage in the rivalry. They are going to be going in this year probably into the game as favorites. They weren't favorites last year. Michigan wasn't necessarily expected to go into Columbus and win. They certainly weren't favorites in 2021 coming off of the COVID year where they were a disastrous 2-4, and they still hadn't beaten Michigan since 2011 and before that in 2003. So my point is that Michigan has slayed a lot of those dragons. I mean, last year they went into Columbus and won for the first time since 2000. And if we remember, I know that Ohio State team kind of retrospectively gets a little bit disrespected, but they were considered quite the juggernaut, at least when it comes when it came to quarterback play, when it came to they had Paris Johnson, one of the best left tackles in the country, when it came to that wide receiver core. I know that you think that CJ Stroud is the antichrist, but you could not be more wrong.
I just think the dude's overrated as hell.
We're gonna get to Colin McCoy in a second. We'll get to Colin McCoy in a second to Lucas.
Well, and also when it comes to Michigan, to go along with the fact that I think they have the clear and present advantage in the rivalry, it also goes to the fact that they have the most returning talent of any team in the country when it comes to talent, returning, and talent in the transfer portal. I think at every single position, and I know this might sound like a hot take, but I don't think it is. At every single position, except for maybe wide receiver, they will have at least one first-team All-Big Ten. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be the first-team All-Big Ten quarterback. I think that Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum could both be first-team All-Big Ten running backs. I think Colston Loveland will be a first-team All-Big Ten tight end. I think Zach Zenner and Trevor Keegan, at least, maybe even Ladarius Henderson and Drake Nugent, will all be vying for first-team All-Big Ten on the offensive line. And they might win another Joe Moore trophy for the third year in a row, by the way. I think Chris Jenkins and Mason Graham are going to possibly be first-team All-Big Tens as defensive linemen. I think that Josiah Stewart, Braden McGregor, and Jalen Harrell will maybe be vying for a first-team All-Big Ten at edge rusher.
Harbaugh said you got 20 NFL players.
They 100% do.
That'll be drafted.
And especially that linebacking core. I know that a lot of people don't talk about this linebacking core enough, but when you look at their incoming transfer in Ernest Hausman, the number 4 ranked transfer in the country, the number 1 ranked transfer linebacker in the country, to pair him with Michael Barrett and Junior Colson, is this the 1985 Bears when it comes to linebackers? It is going to be the best linebacking crew in the country. Dude. And oh, by the way, did I even get to the secondary yet? Will Johnson. I'll give you that. It's either him or Kool-Aid McKinstry, I think, the best cornerback in the country. You've got Rod Moore, who is, I think, going to be a first-team All-Big Ten safety. And you've got Mike Sanders still playing another year in the secondary after having such a breakout season last year. In his first full season playing defense, he will have another year. He will be dominant. So I guess combined with the fact that I think Michigan has the clear and present advantage in the rivalry for the first time in over 20 years, and the fact that Michigan has the most returning talent when it comes to players returning and transfer portal, Michigan, it should absolutely be national championship or bust. And honestly, they should be ranked number 1 in any poll because they are going to be the best team in the country. And if you think that's crazy, it's just blind Michigan hate. But before I let you guys go,
you're good.
There are a couple of caveats that I will give. I'm not going to give you the whole Michigan thinks they're going to win the national championship every single year. Wrong. And yes, I'm talking to you, Lindsey Hunter. Nobody said in 2018, 2016, 2015, Brady Hoke, Rich Rodriguez, nobody ever at any point said that Michigan was going to win the national championships those years. This year is 100% different. The one thing that I will give you guys, and this is a fair criticism, is if they line up against Georgia or Alabama, they haven't really shown that they can compete with the likes.
They're getting smacked by Georgia.
I disagree with that. But
everything you just said, Flannel?
What's up?
I'm happy for you. I really am. I'm glad Michigan finally has the roster to do it. But they're going to blow it again.
Oh.
Kyle McCord, Marvin Harrison, they don't because
you did not say Kyle McCord first.
Realistically, let's be honest for a second. Talent goes out the window when it's Ohio State, Michigan, unless you got Justin Fields for Ohio State and you just bombing it on them. But the competition is always much closer. So, Michigan, great roster. If they somehow don't blow it to Ohio State, they are getting dog walked by Georgia this year. That's I think Georgia's now.
Well, here's and to speak on that point, Lucas, because about the whole Ohio State thing. Yeah, you got Marvin Harrison, but the key to beating Ohio State and what Michigan's done really well is dominate in the trenches. But to your point, have we seen anybody dominate Georgia in the trenches? No. That's where I'm a little pushed back. But to Sam's point, there are returning players at some of the most impactful positions, guys that have experience just last year playing in the college football playoffs. Sure. So you got that going for you. But Georgia, that's going to be, even without some of their key players, it's still Georgia, man. Like, they're going to reload this year and still have plenty of talent.
And I get it. If there's any school that deserves the benefit of the doubt, like they don't just rebuild, they reload, it is 100% Georgia because they've won the last 2 national championships in dominating fashion, by the way, particularly last year against TCU.
But will they win 3?
I don't think so. It's very, very hard to win 3 in a row, and they have lost 8 first-round draft picks in the last 2 drafts. I know that they still have Brock Bowers, but they don't have as much returning talent as Michigan. I know that a lot of the new incoming talent and players that didn't produce because they were buried on the depth chart might end up being better than a lot of Michigan players because that's what teams like Georgia does. That's what teams that like Alabama does. Mm-hmm. But Alabama is another one. You don't just lose the best quarterback in school history and the best defensive player in school history and arguably the best defensive back in school history and Jahmyr Gibbs and just get labeled as like, oh, they're just going to be fine. They're gonna reload. The one thing working for Alabama is we all talk about, oh my God, Michigan just plays this cupcake schedule. Have you taken a gander at Alabama's? I know they play at home to Texas, and Texas is they're a tough matchup, but they're going to win that game. And then you look at their SEC schedule, I believe they're at Auburn. That might be tough, but Auburn's down. This isn't the Cam Newton Auburn. This isn't even the Nick Marshall Auburn. It's not any of those teams. The Nick Marshall, Trey Mason Auburn. It's neither of those teams. They're still down. So I think all of those reasons lead to that Michigan, at the very least, and a lot of you cannot deny this, this is their best opportunity since they actually won it in 1997. They are way more set up to do it this year, especially when it comes to preseason expectations and talent across the board, than they were even last year and the year before. This has got to be the year where it has to get done.
And Mason Leach, Ohio State has no O-line. They've lost 3 linemen to the draft. True. Kyle McCord is a rookie. True. And they only have 2 wide receivers with running backs that can stay on the field that combine for less than 1,500 yards.
I mean, Ohio State's wide receiver room is always going to be perfectly fine.
Yeah,
they're always going to be elite.
It will be. But again, the question is, like, even for C.J. Stroud, many have said, at least at Ohio State, one of the better quarterbacks they've ever seen. Like, I know you want to crap and say C.J. Stroud's this and that, whatever, that's fine, but you obviously have high hopes for Kyle McCord.
I don't have high hopes. I have realistic hopes. People like looking at C.J. Stroud's stats and having high hopes, and I didn't like doing that. I saw the stats, thought that they were very good stats, but then when I actually watched the football player, I was like, all right, this guy's overrated. Doesn't have that dog in him.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But like
something you can't
let me put it like this. He lacked to put his imprint on the game in big situations. He crumbled in big pressure moments, and I don't think he would have put anywhere close to the stats that he was putting up if he was in a different situation. I think if you put him in like Kentucky and Will Levis situation, he's not even a first-round pick. I'm sorry. He's not. Maybe you'd be like towards the back end just because of the size and his arm, but he's not anywhere close to that. I think there's a lot of quarterbacks around, not a lot, but you talk about the Anthony Richardsons, the Bryce Youngs. If you put them in Ohio State, they're not only going to put up C.J. Stroud's numbers, but they're going to win and perform in big games.
Yeah, like that's Ohio State's offense in a nutshell. Finesse, right? Guys are open, pretty much. And like Chuck Brewer says, CJ benefited from having more talent. The first read was always open. Yeah, when your first read's Marvin Harrison, the guy's always open.
Yeah, and the second read, if first read wasn't open, second read was wide open.
Yeah, you got all these guys. I mean, it's a trio. So again, I understand that. Now, I do think Ohio State again will be good. But I just think Michigan's far better. And this is a year where now I think Ryan Day's shaking in his boots a little bit because they got worse at the line of scrimmage where they were dominated last year, Sam Flannel.
I mean, the fear factor is gone, at least when it comes to Michigan and Ohio State. As I said at the beginning, this is the year where Michigan actually expects to defeat Ohio State. I'm not saying at all, too, that Ohio State should just be minimalized, that Michigan's going to dog walk them or anything like that. I'm just saying that Michigan should have the confidence. I said this on Big D Energy yesterday, and I'm going to reiterate it now. These last two Ohio State teams, they remind me a little bit, not in terms of style, but in terms of how the season played out, like the 95 and 96 Ohio State teams. Those incredibly talented teams with guys like Eddie George and Orlando Pace and David Boston and Sean Springs and the like. And they would pretty much beat every single opponent, but they couldn't beat Michigan. It's kind of like how Ohio State was last year. Ohio State was a field goal away from going to the national championship and probably winning it, but they lost by 22 at home to Michigan. They got completely curb stomped, got their manhood taken from them, got completely deep-pantsed at the line of scrimmage. But
wow.
That's true, though.
Descriptive, Flannel.
They got strip searched.
Is that true, though?
It is true.
That I said
it is true.
Right now, Michigan is just Ohio State's bugaboo. I mean, you even look at the year before. Ohio State won the Rose Bowl right after losing to
Bugaboo.
You say bugaboo?
Bugaboo,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
That's like in my head still. What is that? What's the definition of that? What is that?
That's just kind of like a.
The hell's a bugaboo?
It's a something. It's like an annoyance.
Oh, okay.
All right,
it's like fair. Which is okay. But now I'm with you.
That is 100% true. I mean, look at Ohio State's record versus every other team except for Michigan the last couple of years. I believe they have one loss only, but two losses to is it one loss or two losses? But anywho, but two just pretty decisive losses to Michigan, kind of like the 95 and 96 teams.
Soft Jones says a bug a who? It's all right, Sam Flannel. I'm with you. I think Michigan. I'm not going to put my hair on it. You know, I spent all this time getting my hair back, so I'm keeping away from Michigan.
Fair enough. Maybe Max Duggan and Quentin Johnston.
Maybe I have a little. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Max Duggan and Quentin Johnston are still in my head to this day. But regardless, we're back, and maybe I have a little bit of a vendetta against Michigan, but we'll find out because we have some good things planned for college football and NFL pregame shows, so stay tuned for that as well. Before we go to break, Sam Flannel, could you tell everybody about our friends over at Planet Fitness?
Oh, it's that time.
Yes.
What are you getting right, Sam Flannel?
Oh, at Planet Fitness, of course. And honestly, when I was on vacation, I didn't work out too much, so I'm not feeling a pump, so I'm feeling a little bit insecure, but I'm still
You gotta show the guns,
I still gotta show the guns, even if I don't work out for a week. But when I go back tonight, Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. We are here to help you build a lasting, active lifestyle. At Planet Fitness, you will experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full-body workout in just 30 minutes, and the 30-minute circuit, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for only $10 a month. Yes, we are still only $10 a month. Your fitness is essential, and fitness is a key part of physical and mental wellness, which is why we have invited teens between the ages of 14 and 19 to work out for free all summer long with our high school Summer Pass program. For more information or to join today, visit your local Planet Fitness or planetfitness.com. No matter where you are, there's a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world.
You know what time it is,
Planet
Flannel.
Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Your childhood may be over, but playtime is certainly not. Outdoor Equipment Company is your source for outdoor power equipment, sales, service, and parts, carrying top brands such as Bad Boy, LS Tractor Still, and much more. For more information, visit them, OutdoorEquipCo.com. Outdoor Equipment Company, your power equipment playground. Well, it's all right. You know what? That's why I love Lucas. I love Lucas a lot. We were going to cut to the Teddy Bridgewater video.
Oh, I thought you were saying like you wanted to introduce it
it's
on
all
a
good.
break. That's on me, fellas.
You're good. Listen, I'll tell you this.
I thought we just had like the 2 months ago where the VMix just crashed. We have no audio. I'm like,
no.
my God.
And you know what? mistakes happen. We're going to get into the Teddy Bridgewater stuff because Dan actually spoke on it yesterday, and we got to see him pretty much echo what we've been saying as well, and you're going to want to hear this. This is Dan Campbell on Teddy Bridgewater.
I've seen him run the offense. I've seen him in critical moments. I've seen him develop young talent, young receivers. We lost Breeze. He goes 5-0. He just, he went in there and he kept the ship afloat.
Dan saying the same things we talked about yesterday, which, again, and one thing we actually didn't mention as much, we talked about with Hendon Hooker, but the mentorship that Teddy Bridgewater brings, which is super underrated. I didn't even know the stories. I don't know if you guys mentioned it. Maybe I missed it. When he talked about back in New Orleans when he was working with guys extra, like working with receivers, helping guys get better. Like, you can't really put a price tag on that, Sam Flannel. Like, that's invaluable.
Yeah,
it really is.
And when you're a guy like Hendon Hooker, who's basically in a redshirt year, I don't even know if throughout this year he probably is, but he might not even be healthy enough to play. You get the benefit of working under two starting level quarterbacks in the NFL. I know that Teddy Bridgewater is a low end starter, but still, he has had seasons where he's led the team. Well, not really led the team, but made the playoffs as a starter. He's had a season 2 years ago where he threw 18 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And of course, you have Jared Goff. Those are two quarterbacks that Hendon Hooker can learn under. And I think the two things that you can say about Jared Goff and Teddy Bridgewater, and I know this is an overused cliche, but I would call them both consummate professionals. And I think that Hendon Hooker is the type of guy that is an up-and-coming consummate professional. And he's also very, very mature because he comes in at 25, as a lot of people will say, as a reason to knock him. But still, I think that could actually be used to his advantage, especially since quarterbacks are playing until their late 30s anyway, and some into their 40s. I love this move. It gives me a lot more reassurance that if something were to go wrong, as I said yesterday, you have someone other than Nate Sudfeld to right the ship. Nate Sudfeld and his 1 touchdown pass in 7 years. And the fact that it's a 1-year deal, I mean, why the hell not? I mean, Dan Campbell gives an excellent example of 2019 when Teddy Bridgewater had to come in for an injured Drew Brees and probably played the best football of his career. 5 games, 5-0, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So Dan Campbell also is very, very familiar with what Teddy Bridgewater is capable of. It's just a move like this, it even more signifies that the Detroit Lions are serious contenders and they're not just going to punt if something does go wrong, because things do go wrong in an NFL season. It just seems like they're very, very set up to be next man up almost everywhere.
And Gabby, I mean, kind of going off what he said as well, the wealth of knowledge for Hendon Hooker. I mean, you have, like you mentioned, Teddy Bridgewater now, Jared Goff, and we didn't even mention Mark Brunell, who played quarterback, by the way.
He was in Jacksonville. He was
damn
a
good quarterback.
Damn good quarterback, yeah.
Like, what? Can you kind of speak on what that means for Hendon Hooker?
Definitely. First, I want to touch on the fact that, yes, we're talking about the mentorship for Hendon Hooker, but the mentorship that Dan Campbell was talking about was with the receivers. And that was brought up in that same press conference. And he was like, no. I'm not talking about the mentorship for Hendon. And he shut that down real quick. He was like, I'm talking about the mentorship for the receivers. Obviously, there's going to be mentorship there for Hendon because they're going to be in the same room. But I'm talking about the receivers, and that's where he's really going to be that piece that, in Dan's eyes, he is most beneficial for this team at this point, on top of the fact that he's going to step in here and he's a professional and can learn really quickly. Obviously, having another addition to that quarterback room is only going to bolster the competition and bolster everyone's abilities because, again, like we've said, iron sharpens iron, so he's going to add to that in a fantastic way.
Absolutely. And JB, we didn't really get to you yesterday because we didn't have a mic for you, and I want you to speak on it. Teddy Bridgewater, now part of the Detroit Lions. Your reaction, what that means for Hendon Hooker?
I mean, I see Hendon Hooker as, once again, learning from another QB who's been in the league for a while, who's been in big moments and big games as well. So Teddy Bridgewater just adds to the Lions' depth chart at quarterback and helps Hooker out a lot more when it is his time and when it is his time to start ahead of Jared Goff, or if we decide to move on from Jared Goff. But it's nice to see that, we have that backup quarterback in places. As we've heard, Nate Sudfeld is not impressing anyone right now in camp, and it had me a little concerned and worried as well, too. Now it's just a point of getting Bridgewater in camp and seeing what he's going to do and learn from this offense as well, too, because we didn't see him yesterday during camp, and it's a little concerning because you want him in sooner than later just to put him out there because he's going to be playing in some of these preseason games, but you kind of want to see him in camp first.
Right. And to kind of, like I was saying yesterday, and I kind of got a little out of hand. I got a little out of pocket yesterday because I was so angry that I forgot to mention that when I mentioned for Nate Sudfeld not completing a pass, I meant last season. But I was so frustrated. I'm like, the man's never completed a pass. He's completed a pass. Now, last season, Jared's the only one who's completed a pass. So for Nate Sudfeld, it's the lack of experience that does scare me. Like, you're relying on a guy who doesn't really play, hasn't played much in his career to go out there and hold it down. Like I said, for a half, for a quarter, for a drive, for a game. Now you got Teddy Bridgewater, who has a ton of experience and now experience with his coaching staff. And I know someone mentioned before, and I want to get this comment too and give credit. And they mentioned J.T. Barrett. Terry, don't they have J.T. Barrett on the QB staff too? Yes, they do. I mean, they have Ben Johnson, who played quarterback in college. A lot of wealth of knowledge for these guys, man. So it's awesome. I love it. Love Teddy Bridgewater.
We'll see when he comes in. I think they're planning on him starting practices on Monday. But the hope is that he's going to be there today to start doing his physicals and getting those steps underway.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I can't wait. This season. Booner, I don't know if Booner slipped a little Kool-Aid in my drink while he was here, but I'm sipping some Kool-Aid.
You got
man.
A little Kool-Aid roofie in your cup?
I don't know if I'll say Super Bowl champions, but man, we'll see.
What, NFC championship?
We'll see.
You think there?
We'll see. We'll see. That's why you guys.
We're not. We'll see, but what do you think we will see?
Well, it's not even the preseason has not even started yet.
I know. You're speaking common sense right now. The only thing that's not common is what Jeff Iafrate thinks will happen at the end of the season. Because we will see that. All of us will see. But I want to know what you think we will see, Jeff. What? Come on.
Yeah. Listen,
what do you think?
I am a very excited Lions fan.
Yeah.
I do think the Lions will win the NFC North. I think they'll win a playoff game. And by default, I guess, if you win a playoff game, you're in the dance. Anything can happen. So what? So Super Bowl now? Anything can happen. This is why. Look, I'll tell you this: if Philly and the 49ers face in the divisional round, now we're talking. Because now you're going to get one of those.
And we get that.
Hey, is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. Because in that terms, I think that means we get the Cowboys most likely. I'll take that matchup any day of the week over Philly and San Francisco. Let them hurt each other. Let San Francisco drop 2 quarterbacks again.
And then we'll get them.
Yeah, we'll get Trey Lance. We'll get Trey Lance.
I'll take Sam Darnold. How about that?
No, I'd rather play Trey Lance than Sam Darnold any day of the week.
Yeah, no, well, that's fair. MF Jester says, Jeff, you must be all in or all out before the season starts. Well, I guess I'm all in. So, Super Bowl champions.
That wasn't that hard.
I'm already down at Woodward. I'm ready, guys. I got my lawn chair planted outside right now, ready for this parade. So let's get this thing going. We'll go to break. We get back. We'll get to what's trending with Lucas and much more. But we got to hear about our friends from Randy Wise.
Randy Wise is where you can go and make the wise choice for your next vehicle. And when you're down there, let them know that you watched the latest episode of the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour and register for your chance to win a fantastic round of golf at one of Michigan's finest courses with some of your friends, and then have a dinner provided by Fairway Packing. That's Randy Wise. Make the wise choice.
By now you know me, Christina Schnurry, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Go. All right, 3, 2.
Hey, it's Chris Hansen, Woodward Sports. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. I'm locked in. Sam's locked in. Everybody's locked in. Chris Hansen's locked in.
Oh, right. He's
locked in as well. He's got to be. You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. Check the time. It's 9:40. It's time to get to what's trending with Lucas. Lucas, what do you got for us?
So, Colin Cowherd had some wise words yesterday, or more so unwise words, and he put together on his show quarterbacks that will never win a Super Bowl. We've been talking about Ohio State quarterbacks. We just talked about J.T. Barrett, C.J. Stroud, and he had a certain name that he put on here, and probably shock you a little bit.
And then the third category is 20 guys who are not getting to a Super Bowl and certainly not winning it, and that's everybody else. From Baker Mayfield, Teddy Bridgewater, Dwayne Haskins, guys that are just not that it says can win Super Bowls. It's can't win Super Bowls. Okay, so 6 stars, 4 high-end starters, and 20 guys that can't win a Super Bowl.
So That is rough.
Well, you could tell he was like tripping over, like he knew immediately, but you can't. It's like he can't break, on air. So he's like, this should be can't. Oh, who can't? Like trying to divert it away from Dwayne Haskins.
So do you think this is a Colin error? Or do you think somebody like threw this together for him and he was kind of like, yeah, we'll do a list today?
Here's the thing. Here's a different way to look at this. As much as people would say, well, it's Colin's fault, people and people may not know this about a show like that. Colin gets everything prepared for him, graphics, everything. Like they get everything ready. So for that list, that wasn't made. I mean, I'm sure even if he had Colin listed Dwayne Haskins on a list for guys that can't win Super Bowls, it's on production to be like, hey, bud, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So. I think both deserve blame, but you could tell Colin, I think, was a little shocked as well.
It's almost like me and Easy were talking about this last night. It's almost like it was a list from like a year or two ago, where it's like quarterbacks, because some of the names on there, like the guys weren't even relevant anymore.
Yeah, and Booner says he had Manziel on this list. Like Manziel's just chilling, man. Like he caught a stray. Like what? Like it just bottom line, that cannot happen.
Yeah.
That can't happen. I mean, it's unfortunate.
Flannel.
And it's a bad look.
I mean, a little side note, Johnny Manziel deserves all the strays. I hated him at Texas A&M, and it made me feel so good when he went to Cleveland and imploded. But
did you watch the Manziel doc on Netflix?
I didn't.
You should. It's really good.
You really should. It is very good.
Am I actually going to get sympathy for him?
You will.
I think so.
Fine.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Because a lot of the stuff that was reported in the media wasn't even true. He just had to it's just I don't want to spoil it. You got to see it.
All right, but anywho, this whole situation was interesting because obviously Dwayne Haskins being on this list is egregious, but at the same time, it looked like Colin Cowherd was, like you guys said, shocked by it, and it just so happened that the graphics made another error that he could just beat. So I think that Colin Cowherd was kind of shooketh in a lot of ways, but he's a professional. He's going to move on, and I think that. Doing the job that I do now, it definitely gives me more sympathy for guys like Colin Cowherd or guys who do live TV every single day, especially Colin Cowherd on his own.
Yeah.
Mistakes will be made. I've certainly made a few. I think a lot of you in the chat would say this whole show is a mistake. But anywho, I'm not going to listen to you guys, but I'm just getting myself before you guys can get me. But anywho, that's my spiel.
JB, you got any words for this?
All I can say is, as a professional, even though you get these graphics made for you, at least skim over the list. At least run down it just to make sure you know exactly what you're talking about. Or even if you mistakenly said his name, at least say, RIP behind it. This list is a little bit inaccurate, but still at the same time, it's like, look over the list before you just read random names. You're not Ron Burgundy. You're not reading a teleprompter just being like, Ron Burgundy?
Yeah, no, it's
come on now.
It can't happen.
And I don't know if you guys peeped too. Justin Fields was on there, but Gabby, did you see this, or did you have any thoughts or opinions on this?
We all make mistakes, and hopefully he takes this as a learning experience and grows from it.
Yeah, no doubt. You got anything else for us?
Yeah,
Can I just say one quick thing just to clarify? My bad, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to read something that Chase Pyack said. Not the whole show, just you, Flannel. That's what I was saying. I'm obviously not calling you guys anything because
we
I have
Flannel.
The best coworkers in the world.
Yeah, we love you, Sam.
And you are loved, Sam. So don't you worry that.
So I just wanted to get that out there that I would never say anything about you guys. I'm just kind of being self-deprecating towards myself. Go on, Lucas.
I
so
got what you were
interrupted.
doing. You didn't make a mistake at all.
Yeah,
Colin Cowherd did.
Yeah.
And there's a man in Dallas raining mistakes right now. Dak Prescott yesterday. I can't get the background for it. It was glitching for me when I was trying to load it in. But he's back at it. Trayvon Diggs got Dak's number today. Diggs with his second pick of Dak in about 10 minutes. Yesterday he threw 3 interceptions in practice yesterday. So the whole 10 interceptions thing, he's thrown 10 interceptions since he even made that comment. Here's the second one. That one was just
that was underthrown.
Yeah, that was just underthrown.
That was bad.
And then I saw there was a Dallas reporter, like everybody talking about Dak throwing these interceptions, but they failed to mention his 5 touchdowns. And on all 5 touchdowns, the receiver was just running wide open like he was at Ohio State or something like that. So I'm truly worried about Dak. I always am worried about Dak. But the fact that he put that 10 interception comment out there, I think it's adding more pressure, which is the last thing he needed as a player. Not to mention now you're in Dallas, where you have to win. You're going to be in a tough division because I don't care what you say. The Commanders always play Dallas tough. The Giants usually play Dallas tough. And Philly obviously plays Dallas tough. So what do you guys think as far as, are you worried about Dak completely kind of blowing up this season with the added pressure he's added on himself?
You know what I love? You got Jerry Jones watching practice. He's sitting there. Probably has an umbrella over him because it's too sunny. Someone's holding it.
And they're talking about extending this guy, too, by the way.
And they're sitting there looking at Dak Prescott, and they're going, we have an update on his contract yet? Did he sign anything? Like, after this man's throwing 3-4 picks in practice, so we're extending this guy, right? Like, and by the way, I'll repeat what I said yesterday. I get why they're doing it, but Dak, this is why you don't speak. Let your game do the talking. Like, that's the biggest issue. Dak can come out and say, I ain't throwing 10 interceptions again. I don't give a damn. Go out and prove it. Like, you've thrown 10 already in training camp. Like, I don't know. It's ridiculous. And I know Booner said, but the Lions can beat the Cowboys in the playoffs. I never said they can't. I just said, damn, it's close. It really is. And if Dak Prescott looks like this.
On paper, like, if each team plays to their best ability, yes, it's close.
That's where I'm at. Yeah. But what do you think? You love Dak Prescott.
I don't love Dak Prescott. I just think particularly at this network, there's a little bit of Dak Prescott derangement syndrome. And definitely the fact that his training camp interceptions are being blown up like it's the worst thing in the world, I think it's a little bit much. Do I think that Dak Prescott is elite? Absolutely not. Do I think he's probably the best quarterback the Cowboys have had in many, many years? Also, yes. Is that going to do anything for them come playoff time in terms of winning big? Probably not. I think all of those things are true. Dak Prescott is the perpetual 9th to 14th best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm not giving him 9.
Yeah, we'll give him
11
13.
to 14. Never will Dak Prescott, my bad, Rain Dakota Prescott, be in my 1 to 10 tier. And NFL quarterbacks, never.
Pistons fan says better than Romo.
It's close.
I couldn't stand either of those
You know
guys.
what's funny though?
Is there an either?
What,
is there an
Romo?
either option?
Yeah,
We have a
I
Romo.
would have to give it to Dak just because he won a playoff game.
I think that both of them, albeit they both had a tendency to melt down at certain moments, they also had a lot of bad luck. I would say both Tony Romo and Dak Prescott were victims of just the Cowboys cowboying around them a lot.
Tony Romo did drop a hold to an extra
That was
point.
terrible. Egregious.
Tony Romo had the roster. He has everything that you could say about Dak.
Yeah, he's got his own skeletons in the closet.
Yeah,
like Tony
100%.
Romo has.
He had Darren McFadden, who was nice. Everybody forgets how explosive and dominant DeMarco Murray was for that little tenure he was there. And that division was nothing crazy at the time. I mean, they had Eli Manning and the Giants, but it's like when they were making it in the postseason, they were like 9-7. You know what I mean? Like they weren't some dominant team. So he had his chances too.
Yeah, I mean, they're both, I think, at their times, perpetually the 9th to 14th best quarterback in the NFL. And I think Tony Romo led the Cowboys to, 3 consecutive 8-8 seasons. It was just like 8-8, to quote Stephen A. Smith.
What else you got for us, Luke? Is that it?
Yeah, but I want to get JB and Gabby's thoughts if they have any on it real quick. JB?
All I can say is if week 1, if this is the quarterback that Dallas gets, Jerry Jones will be sitting here forcing his team to find any free agent or calling every team possible to try and get their backup quarterback. I can tell you that right now.
Okay. Gabby, any thoughts? Do you have any expectations for the Cowboys, or if you have anything for Dak Prescott as an individual this season?
Not great expectations, which is why I have to segue that we need to, pay more attention to Parker Romo. And what he's doing for the Lions. And interesting fact coming in a player spotlight later this week is that Parker Romo is from the same city in Mexico, and they potentially have like some family deep lineage. They're not related, but there's potential for deep family lineage because they're from the same city in Mexico.
So you're saying we potentially have the best Romo to ever touch an NFL field?
Potentially.
Hey.
If you want to take that as it is, take that as it is.
Parker Romo.
Flannel, you can appreciate that.
Hey, Parker Romo. Take him over Jake Moody. No, I'm just kidding. We'll go to break. Get your questions ready, everybody. We got 8 minutes left. We'll try to get to as many as we can here. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at Dispo, because this Friday, Hazel Park, Ermanni and Edwards heavyweights, they'll be down there. Go check them out. Come prepared as Dispo Dispensary takes your cannabis experience to new heights. Located at 634 West 9 Mile Road, Hazel Park, Michigan. See you there for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz and the Heavies live August 11th. In 2 days, guys. You're going to want to be down there at Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
When buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key. Sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time for any reason with no penalty? That is exactly what Mark White & Associates offers. It's called the Minute-by-Minute Listing Agreement by Mark White & Associates. Try Mark White's risk-free minute-to-minute listing agreement today. Looking to buy or sell real estate? Visit markwhitesells.com or call 248-290-8242. markwhitesells.com, where flexibility meets success.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, we'd so appreciate it if you just hit that like button. We're 13 away from 200, now 12 away as I said that. So let's get to 200 likes before the show's over. We appreciate every single one of you for being here today with us. Seriously, we do. It does not go unappreciated. Let's get to some of these questions, and we'll close out the show. 9 drinks. Mailbag, are you guys watching the regular season preseason broadcast or the extra one on Fox 2 with Peter Schrager and D-Mac? D-Mac's going on there?
Yeah, he'll be on there.
Oh, you know where I'll be. With Schrags? I'll be there.
Wow.
I'll be there, baby.
Hell yeah.
I got to see my guy D-Mac, dude. I definitely have to. And Peter Schrager, which he's great. Let's see. Dre says, mailbag, hey, Flannel Sam, hot take that Rich Rod would have saved his job with one more year at Michigan. Hoke's 11-12 first year was due to Rod's players and insanely easy schedule. Your thoughts?
So I don't hate that take, actually. And obviously, Denard Robinson, he was better suited for a Rich Rodriguez offense. He had the best year of his life in 2010. The problem under Rich Rod is even when the offense got humming in 2010, their defense was just like a ferry. Everybody gets to score, everybody gets to ride. That was basically what it was. So you could... That's a tough one because Brady Hoke's first year, they actually beat Ohio State the Luke Fickell year and went to the Sugar Bowl and beat Virginia Tech. You know what? I will say yes, after kind of doing some math in my head, that like Zach Galifianakis math equation. I will say yes.
Great movie.
Yes, absolutely. That Jeff just saw.
All right, let's get to some other ones. Chuck Brewer, mailbag. Jeff, you mentioned some shakeups with Sam's work schedule. Nobody has said anything since. Did you jump the gun, or can you guys tell us now? Yeah, I might have jumped the gun. I might have jumped the gun. Listen, I said what I said, and I'm going to stand by it. Sam Flannel, we'll be making some changes. They'll be here full time. Now, all the other stuff will get figured out. There's a little tease there. Big D Energy. Yeah, there'll be some interesting. You guys already know. I mean, Mike Gentry's been in the booth while you were out. So just stay tuned for that. There's no official dates yet, but yeah, there will be some changes. It's just easier for Sam. It makes sense. I mean, you do 2 hours of our show, and then you're going to go and talk for another 2 hours. It's just easier all around. But happy for Sam, man. He deserves it. He deserves all the shine. Let's see. Jesse Adams, mailbag. Sam, you want to bet MSU goes to a bowl game? You keep saying we'll win 4 games. Want to bet $50? Jesse just keeps betting money, man. He bet you 100 on what?
Well, what?
Sam Laporte, or no, James Mitchell will have more TDs or something like that.
Week 1.
He says, want to bet $50 on it. Jeff, don't you think he would do it back up what he's been saying? $50, they'll make a bowl game. Sam Flannel!
No, you know what? I'm not about to do an about face, but it wouldn't shock me at all if Michigan State wins 6 games. So I will not take that
If Michigan State wins a bowl game, will you bet on it? Or will you bet on their bowl game? Would you be willing to wager you have to win or wear a Michigan State jersey if they win a bowl game?
Shut up and take my money.
No, because bowl games are just so random. I mean, you even look at the one a couple of years ago that they won. Kenneth Walker didn't play for Michigan State, and Kenny Pickett didn't play for Pitt. So at a lower tier bowl game, which Michigan State would be at if they make one, I think you could see some players sitting out.
All right. Let's get to 1 or 2 more questions before we get out of here. Let's see. Detroit Dabber 3-3, but I need the Neil versus Sam chaos. Yeah, I feel like Neil's been getting the last couple months. It's just gotten more personal. I feel like you notice that?
It's just when they're oh, what do we talk about? To our resident Michigan lover, Flannel Sam.
Just go I handle all Big D their clips on Twitter and Facebook. So I watch the show. I'm in tune with the show, so I get to see it. And yeah, dude, Neil, that's a war within itself. And then D-Mac just kind of jumps on top, dude. He like the wrestler he is. He jumps from the top ropes, it seems.
You know what? I would call myself battle tested. I obviously love those guys. They were them. I would say those two, and then back when Easy used to fill in on Big D Energy. Shout out to my good friend Easy. They were the first ones to really kind of give me a voice at this network. So I'm always indebted to all of them, no matter what.
Life with Cool, mailbag. Who will be the preseason MVP? 1 offensive and 1 defensive player. Preseason MVP? I'll say Preseason MVP offensively.
I got one.
Well, it depends because I don't think any of the rookies are going to play like significantly.
Mohamed Ibrahim.
You know what?
I think he goes.
You know what?
nuts
I'll
in
go
preseason.
Dylan Drummond. I'll stick with that.
Okay.
I'll go Dylan Drummond offensive, and then defensive, I'll go Starling Thomas. How about that?
I will also go with Mohamed Ibrahim. And on defense, I will say, how about Josh Pascal?
Okay.
I love Josh. Man, I can't wait for Josh Pascal. He's a dog. Absolute dog. Cornelius says, Sam is hilarious. Y'all get too mad too easy. Shout out to Cornelius, man. He's been here since day one. He's a real one. And that's all we have it for today. We appreciate every single one of you for tuning into the Morning Woodward Show. Don't forget, before you leave, hit the like button. We just hit 206 likes on YouTube, so I appreciate you. We hit the goal we wanted to. And that's all thanks to you guys. It's all thanks to the people, man. Couldn't do it without them. Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, JB, Gabrielle D. Phillips, and Lucas Klotz. We appreciate you guys. And until tomorrow, we'll have a packed show. And then Friday, we got preseason against the Giants. It's only going to get better, ladies and gentlemen. Until tomorrow, we'll see you.
Have a good one.